Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brewbuilt X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brewbuilt Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brewbuilt line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brewbuilt X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brewbuilt Conicals. You can trust Brewbuilt with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brewbuilt at morebeer.com.
Today's Sunday session is brought to you thanks to the fine folks at More Beer. Visit them right now at morebeer.com.
If you really want to be one of the best brewers there is,
I stopped dressing all in plastic.
You better be brewing 5 to 6 times a week.
Every beer is made with love, and it begs to be appreciated.
I need something to kill the salmonella I'm kind of worried about in the eggs.
Do you find that that the hops kind of clash with the chicken embryo you put in there?
I might sleep here tonight.
It's a California king. There's plenty of room for both of us, Beavis.
How many of the brewers over there have seen your ass?
That's it. Someone's getting cut tonight.
All I have to say is, hey, McDowell, how you doing?
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Yes, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us here on The Session. I am drinking a Fieldwork Canopy Pale Ale.
Me too. Isn't it the boss?
Holy shit, it's a good beer.
Yeah.
It's a really nice pale ale. It's almost gone, so...
How the hell did you avoid Pale 31? That's boring, too.
Oh, it was beer number 2. So I had Pale 31 first, and then I went to the Canopy. By recommendation of Allison, our bartender tonight, who I think it's her last night with us.
It is her last night, yes.
Which...
the hop grenade.
Yeah. With the hop grenade. Yeah, I don't mean she's dying.
She's dying tonight.
Yeah, I don't mean, like, it doesn't...
And she wants to spend her last hours on life
working at the...
serving you beer.
Listen, it's a good company.
Last night with us has a different meaning for tasty.
Right.
Well, she's telling me she's going to GABF with this. So, I'm saying it's not her last night with the Brewing Network.
That's true. So it's her last night at the Hop Grenade, but we have recruited her to help us at the Great American Beer Festival.
She's very, very capable.
Yeah, she's wonderful, and I'm quite sad that she's leaving us, and I'll probably spit in her drink tonight.
What is she doing? Going to
she's dead
school
to me now.
Or something?
Yeah, everyone keeps leaving us for careers.
She's taking a professional job.
Yeah,
school is in no way related to a career.
Yeah.
No, this is an internship after school sort of thing. I don't know what the hell. Ask her. But she's dead to me after tonight. So
who's dead to you?
Yes, exactly. But she recommended this great Fieldwork Pale Ale, so that's nice. And God, we got to get more of this Fieldwork stuff in here. It's good beer.
They got it.
She's leaving you with a great final impression. Man, I remember that girl. She recommended the best beers.
Best, yeah. She was great customer service, great beers. I forget her name.
Amy?
Mary or Amy. I don't know. Yeah, she's gone already. All right, we got a lot to do tonight. I want to thank our sponsor, More Beer, our good friends over. You can go to morebeer.com and check it out, and they've been sponsoring this program for over 10 years now. We love them for it. So go show your support and... yeah, be good to them. They're good to you, and they're good to us. Tonight, we are talking about sustainable brewing with our old friend. You might remember our old friend Morgan from Ale Industries. Ale Industries based out of Concord originally, now down to Oakland. although they kept a presence here with a tasting room just around the corner, so that's cool, helping our Concord beer scene. And we're going to talk about sustainable brewing with them, as well as a brewery called Terra Firma. And John Niedermeyer is going to join us as well. He's into sustainable brewing. So we're going to learn about different equipment that you can use and different practices to reuse and just become a little more sustainable. Reuse water, reuse heat, alternative fuels, all sorts of things. And we've talked about this topic before, but I think we're going to learn some new things. There's definitely some new technologies that people are using since then. Yeah. It was years ago even that we did the topic, so I'm excited to get to talk about it again.
Is an alternative fuel like an unleaded gas that feels like an electric current? Wants to present as electric, but
I'm not sure.
No?
I'm not sure. Is that a thing? Is that a joke?
That's a trans fuel, actually. That's what that is.
There you go. Warren caught on.
Okay.
Which is very scary to me.
Yeah.
That means it's a great joke.
You're really going downhill when Beardy catches on.
Well, it gets early, and this beer I'm drinking tastes like chicken broth. So.
It does.
I won't tell you whose it is.
Okay.
Fieldwork paleo.
But it literally tastes like I'm drinking cold cup of soup.
It's not because you had ramen before the show? It's definitely the beer?
I blew a chicken.
Okay. Yeah, it could be that. All right. So let's get through just a few things so we can get to our show today. I want to give you a little recap of the Mammoth Festival of Beers and Bluesapalooza event that JP and Push and I went to this past weekend. Tasty was there, and Shimke went up to do some social media work, which was fun. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but what a great festival. It was a good time, and we shot some video for you, so we'll bring that back to you. Never a dull moment with the Brewing Network. The BNRV, the bunker, caught fire on the way there.
Whoa.
Wow.
Which was exciting.
It was very exciting.
Probably terrorists.
Couldn't have happened
It must have
in a
been
more
terrible.
beautiful area.
Yeah, we are just in the most scenic of places.
We really were.
That's not good. How did you're still here? I like the end of this story.
So, as usual, this story starts with me not being the sharpest tool in the shed. And I did what all of us do when we're traveling somewhere nowadays. You punch the map into Google and you figure out how to get where you're going. Well, it turns out that with an RV, you should pay a little more attention to the route, especially when going over mountain passes and other things.
Because there's these things called graded roads.
Right.
Yes.
And by the way, this is only where my stupidity begins, not where it ends, because there were further warnings. So, I punch it into Google. I'm in Martinez. I punch in Mammoth Lakes, California. It gives me the fastest route there.
That's what I'd be doing.
And for those not in California, there is no fastest route there. It's very difficult to get from the Bay Area to the east side of California where Mammoth is. And you have to traverse mountains or drive to Reno and then go south.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, you're traversing mountains. Right. That's just a more accessible pass. That's the truck route pass. So you're talking 8,000 to 10,000 feet of mountains here. They're big. It's the Sierra Nevadas, I believe. So I just picked the one that looked fast. So we
Pretty
go,
windy, but
and they're all windy on the map. Yeah,
Squiggly line's a squiggly line.
So for those of you that are in California, what I chose was Route 108. And if you've ever done this drive, you know what I'm talking about right now.
Warren had some reverb.
So I'm going up. We're headed up the pass, and everything seems fine. And then we passed our first very large billboard type of sign that says "Trailered RVs not recommended beyond this point." But mine's not a trailer. No, we have a Class C, so that's all one piece. So I'm thinking, all right, well that doesn't apply to me.
I am special.
This is not a trailered RV. So another couple minutes down the road, the second very large billboard type of sign says, no vehicles over 27 feet. Actually, it doesn't say no. It says vehicles over 27 feet are not recommended.
Which leaves it open because you don't know what kind of driver you are.
Right. I happen to be an exceptional driver, so I'm thinking ours is about 32 feet. So I'm going, hey, what's a few feet between friends?
Yeah. You're like the Rain Man of RV driving.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we go for it. And
which, by the way, can I point out that you didn't give anybody, there was no chance for us to say, let's not go for it.
Right.
It was just, we're just driving, And I'm hanging out the window looking at all the scenery, and Push is doing whatever he does, and you're in your head going, let's go for it collectively.
Yeah, that's just true, which is usually how things work around here, I guess.
That's true.
So the uphill climb is rather difficult. It's the first time I've ever had to put the wagon into like first gear and leave it there just to get up these grades. We're talking like 27% grades here. It's ridiculous. Wow. Which, hey, that thing runs like a champ. So even with its weight and all that, hey, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Coming down the backside is where we run into a little trouble. Now the brakes are... so I'm using you use the gears to slow things down. I know how to drive. But still, they heat up a little bit. And we get, almost through all of it. We're on like the last quarter mile, and I can't... I know I got to put her down into first gear, but I can't get first gear to catch. And so I'm in second, and I'm riding the brake, and we make the last turn when the brakes pretty much go out. Like, they're now so hot that they're just not working.
It went liquid.
Yeah, so I've got enough to just pull over, use the e-brake, get us to a stop, and then there's just this wall of smoke just everywhere. Which happens.
It happens to the best of us.
That's not a big showstopper.
Yeah, so I go...
It's happened before, or else how would anybody know that it ever happened? Right? It's happened.
Exactly right.
It's a thing.
Come on.
These things happen. It's not the first time I've lost my brakes for the same reason. So I get out and I go, well, we should, where there's smoke, occasionally, on the rare occasion, there is fire.
Right.
Yes.
We get out and we walk around and... yeah, sure enough, one of those bad boys is on fire.
Oh, no. You could see it in the wheel well?
Yeah. The right front brake, I look right in through there, and sure enough, that thing's on fire. So instantly, I'm like, okay. The two things that go through my head, and I yell them both out, I think equally loud, which is fire extinguisher, fire extinguisher, fire extinguisher. And I turn the other way and go, roll camera, roll camera, roll camera. So we got it on camera. JP acts very fast inside, knows right where the extinguishers are. He unlocks the door for me. I pull off the extinguisher closest to the door. JP goes for the other one. Push rolls tape. I go over to the front wheel. I jam down on the fire extinguisher.
Nothing.
It breaks off. The handle on the top of the fire extinguisher breaks. It just cracks right off the thing. Luckily, there's JP right behind me, hands me the second fire extinguisher.
You're going, how does this thing work? And I think that's on the tape, too. How does this work?
You got to pull the pin, otherwise you'll break the handle.
Oh, maybe I forgot the pin.
Yeah, did you break the first handle with the pin still in it?
The first one didn't appear to have a pin.
It didn't have a handle.
So it was broken already.
Yes, the black handle, like what you had on the top of the extinguisher, was just the metal pin that the handle would squeeze to deploy the foam or the dust or whatever it is. So you're sitting there going, how does this work? I'm going, here, take this one.
So it gives me another one.
Yeah.
We get the fire put out. And then...
And the video.
It's on video, and us getting it put out. So that now we're just sitting there waiting, and I'm thinking, well, this is bad. Because I know now in hindsight that I was pretty much done with the hills, but at the time I had no idea. We can't see around the next several bends, and I don't want to call AAA, for one, because we don't have any reception, and two, that costs money. So I'm just thinking, what do I got to do to
reverse those?
Maybe we'll get us on the road, So I pour water on one of the brakes, and you're not supposed to do that because if they're hot, it could like crack. Yeah. It'll crack the pad. Yeah. But I knew that, but I also didn't want the fire extinguisher schmeg all on the brake pad and the disc either, because then I thought, well, there's no way I'll get out of this without calling AAA. So I'm trying to salvage things. I'm like weighing, the consequences here. So I water it down a little bit, get it cleaned off. We wait an hour and a half, I don't know how long, and then we just decide, fuck it, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And so we go. And the brakes aren't working that great when we go, I'll be honest.
You don't say.
They're spongy, and they're hot, and the brake light is on now, the warning one that says things are fucked, that one was on.
Yeah.
But
now it comes on.
Through the mountains, all right?
Yeah, but we made it through anyway. We made it the rest of the way to Mammoth.
The rest of the way wasn't that bad.
Yeah, luckily we actually really were pretty much down the rest of the hills.
We were still an hour and a half outside of our destination, too.
Yeah. We had a ways to go.
Yeah.
So we get there, and, we drink. Just shake it off a little bit. The next day we find a place to take, someone recommended we go to this place. So we go, drive the RV over there, and he explains to me, so here's basically what happened. When your brakes get that hot, you boil the brake fluid. And when you boil the brake fluid, you get air in the lines. And, brake fluid is an uncompressible liquid. That's why it works in hydraulic things, because you hit the brake, it moves the liquid. It does not compress the liquid. It applies the brakes. Getting air within that system is what causes the pedal to move without applying the brakes. So it's not a good thing. And so he seems to really know what he's talking about. He says, hey, we're going to check it out. We're going to bleed the brakes for you. This is on Friday. We're leaving Sunday. I said, all right, do you have time? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All right, well, what if you don't? Well, that's okay. We're open Saturday. Okay, great, because we're leaving Sunday. No problem. If we don't get to it today, we'll even park you in the back of the shop. We'll plug you in. We'll give you a place to sleep. They're being the nicest people.
Yeah.
They don't fix it on Friday. Saturday, about 3 o'clock, a little before they close, I call them up. So, how's it going? Well, yeah, we checked the brake pads. They're fine. Yeah, I know the fucking brake pads are fine. Right. But you're supposed to bleed the brakes. Oh, right. Yeah, that guy only works Fridays, not Saturdays.
The brake blading.
Yeah, the brake blading. And I'm like, well, okay, that's fine, but it was there Friday. And, I'm talking to a different guy now because the manager guy who explains it all to me, he's not there on Saturday either.
They only have one guy that knows how to bleed brakes. I know how to bleed brakes.
Right. Yeah.
It's easy.
He's probably the same guy, the manager and the brake bleeding guy. He just didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So now it's... Saturday night, we're leaving the next day, and now we have a decision to make. Do we stay until Monday? And we're having a great time in Mammoth and all, but we got things to do. We got to get home. Do we take the really long route that doesn't really require a mountain pass, or at least not a very big one, which would have made our drive home about 9 hours instead of 5 or 6, or do we just fucking go for it?
How come bleeding the brakes yourself wasn't an option?
Because after doing a little research, this particular system is somewhat complex when it comes to bleeding the brakes. Something to do with the master cylinder and having to do a pressurized bleed rather than the normal pump the brakes type of bleed. You actually have to vacuum some things out. Now, this may or may not be true. I'm going off of what I can, looking up things on my phone, just trying to discover if it's something I should,
so you can sleep at night.
If I should tackle this project or not.
Okay.
And I decide, the brakes worked the rest of the way. They seem to be all right. I don't want to take the really long route. So you know what? We're just going to do it. So we drive our ass through Yosemite, hoping for the best. Now, keep in mind, JP's got a little anxiety about things. Dying for one,
living for two,
and so I'm trying to talk him down. I'm going, look, if it's just me, I'm not even talking to you. I'm doing this. But because it's your life, too, and because I know you, I'm going to give you the what
you get a vote.
You finally get a vote.
Wow. This is the drunk of the week.
Which
is
a
partial vote.
Yeah. Which actually is indicative of how serious the situation is, because otherwise nobody gets a fucking vote. But because there is the chance that we drive off a cliff, I figure I should give JP a vote.
Sure. Not Push.
Push got another ride home, that pussy.
Which he had his own experiences, but we'll get to that later.
So do me a favor, Beardy, and come over to this microphone for now. I don't know what's going on with that thing over there. It's never done that before.
Or start singing some Journey.
But that's a strange thing. I'm going to have to fix at the break.
Well, it's nice to know when, you're going over the cliff, right? And then your whole life is passing in front of you. It's nice to know you had a vote, you got to...
Yeah.
Oh, I could have made a stand. I said, no fucking way are we going over there.
Yes.
In my mind, I figured out a plan. If we were going off the cliff, my plan was to look at Justin and go, it's not all your fault!
Which is pretty much why I gave you the vote, because I was going to be yelling, this is going to hurt! And,
Taryn's going to be pissed!
It was fine. It was a little dramatic. We used the gears. We drove over Yosemite this time, which I've never seen Yosemite. A beautiful place, apparently, when you're not stressed out about dying.
Yeah. So you were stressed out too.
Yeah, I was really stressed out. I got home, my back was just killing me, which is not from the drive. It was just the stress. Because I'm just, everything's fine. You use the gears to slow the thing down. But if my worry is that if there's a moment that I don't gear correctly or the hill gets a little steeper than I was prepared for, now you're playing catch up, which is when you slam on the brakes or even use the brakes in this case. You know what? That RV got us home just fine.
Yeah.
The brakes seem to be fine, too. I think they bled themselves. There must be a leak somewhere. Because by the time we got home, there was no sponginess. It was working fine.
Nice.
So what'd you do? You slept in the thing at the shop?
Yeah, which actually worked out somewhat to our advantage because where we were going to park for the festival, we couldn't have plugged in or anything else. We'd have had to run the generator and all that. And so we would wake up, and the shop had like a coffee shop in front of it. We got free coffee and plugged in. Everything but them doing their job was great.
How far from the fest site was the shop?
A mile. It was right there.
Oh, man.
It was only slightly farther than where we would have been parked for the fest.
So really good luck.
So it is.
So RV-wise, it's a good Yelp, and then automotive-wise, it's not so good, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
We're very accommodating.
But see, the good luck part, this is why I never learned my lesson about my stupidity or my impatience or anything else, because it all ends up working out in the end. I'm like, hey, we had a place to stay.
And so now that the brakes are working fine, you're not going to take it to a shop and get everything redone.
I'm pretty sure that I should take it to a shop.
Yeah.
Well, we all know you should.
But yeah.
The question is, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to. I will, yes.
Eventually.
Yeah.
If it happens again.
If it happens again.
Poor Jamil, he took such great care of that thing, and now we've had it for, 3 or 4 months, and we've just beat this thing into the ground.
Set it on fire.
Refill the fire extinguishers every time we
we do need to get new fire extinguishers. In fact, whatever came out of that fire extinguisher, I'm pretty sure wasn't like a healthy fire extinguisher.
Yeah, was it supposed to be foam? Because what came out was yellow powder.
It was yellow powder in a weird,
but it put the fire out. So again, it all works out.
It all worked out.
Fine. Folks, you don't have to check your fire extinguishers before you go. If you have a backup, it's fine.
We also took the RV over a one-lane bridge at the same time as a semi-truck was coming the other direction. And we may or may not have scraped the side of the RV down the bridge. Well, listen, I had the right of way. I was on the bridge already when this fucker came around the corner. And, at that point, neither one of us want to back down.
It's chicken.
You're almost as big.
Yeah, we're pretty big. It's a big RV. Too bad it's like made of cardboard practically. So I'm thinking, I think we got this, And we're passing this thing, and JP and Push in the back are just listening to. They're like, I think you're scraping.
No, we're fine.
Nothing I can do now, boys.
How fast were you going when you passed each other?
60. No. We both knew it was a one-lane bridge, so you carefully navigate that anyway. Mm-hmm. But, he should have backed off.
Should have been.
Yeah, he shouldn't have made the corner.
It could have been one lane for weight management. Maybe when it's not designed to have 2 large vehicles on it at one time.
That crossed my mind. But no, it was also definitely the width of the bridge.
Dear God, I am glad I was not on this trip.
Man. No kidding.
So all of this is on video, I believe, and so you're going to get to see it in our Mammoth behind-the-scenes experience.
Yeah, there you go. That's your Mammoth Festival recap.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. So the rest of the festival, you'll get to see great bands, great beer. What a really good time. I want to thank Joyce up at Mammoth Brewing Company there, who was just really wonderful to us and took good care of us all weekend. We had just met her, and Mammoth is the host brewery, and she just treated us like family, so that was very sweet of her. I just want to thank her for that. Her and Jess just took great care of us. And then also Sarah at the festival organizer, she took good care of us too. So we'll bring home the event to you via video. Just give us a week or two on that as Push puts it together and evaluates his life and travel with the Brewing Network.
You want to run down his issues real fast?
We're out of time, actually, because we got to get to this interview. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. It's The Session, live from the Hop Grenade.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
The 21st Amendment. Watch out! Do you like beer? They make beer. Watch out! Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun. Watch out! Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment. Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out! This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and a Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com.
Hey, Wooly, I'm beat. Can we find a nice tree to just hang out in for a while?
You're beat. I've been swinging through this forest for 50 years, ever since we first escaped from the circus. I know, but there's got to be more to life than exploring this creek and trying to populate the valley by copulating with loose, hairy girls.
Marquis, stop.
Look!
What is that?
It looks like a man-made treehouse.
With fresh food.
And craft beer.
Welcome to the Creek Monkey Tap House, boys. Grab a seat. Creek Monkeys drink free.
Awesome!
The Creek Monkey Tap House in Martinez, California takes their mission of fresh food and beer seriously. They only serve locally raised beef and chicken, as well as local sustainable produce. It's better for you and the planet, and it just tastes better. The beer and wine at Creek Monkey Tap House are chosen with the same care for the highest quality and rotate frequently to make each visit an adventure. Swing on into the Creek Monkey Tap House and enjoy a new legend of amazing food, beer, and wine. The Creek Monkey Tap House, online at creekmonkey.com.
You're tuned into the session.
Because life's too short to listen to crappy radio.
All right. Hey, welcome back to the program, and thanks for hanging out with us. We got Tony McGee from Lagunitas in here with us. Real quick, before we get into the Tony McGee story, I got to remind you about the Siebel Institute of Technology. It's America's oldest brewing school. More courses than any other brewing school, which include advanced home brewing, so you don't even have to go to be a pro, craft distilling, and beer styles courses for those of you looking to be a BJCP judge. You can ace those beer knowledge exams. Professional level brewing courses available both campus-based and web-based, so you can do it at home while you have a day job. In fact, one of the fascinating things we're going to learn about with Tony tonight is how long he kept another job while running Lagunitas. So if you want to learn to brew at Siebel, you can keep your other job and do web-based courses. Faculty include some of the best-known and most respected instructors in international brewing. Visit them online at SiebelInstitute.com for all the information.
I just want to point out, you see, Tony, how the high-quality nature of that exposure for our friends at Siebel?
Yeah.
We can always do that for Lagunitas if it ever, if you're ever looking for sources.
All right.
Just throwing that out there.
I had a meeting.
Siebel's cool. That's a great place.
Siebel is cool.
My brother-in-law, Ray Daniels, he teaches classes there. He runs the Cicerone program.
I didn't know Ray's your brother-in-law.
Yeah, he's my sister.
I knew your sister lived there, but I didn't know that. Well, that's a weird.
And you're still
It's a
friends.
nice family. I know. It's kind of cool.
That's very cool.
The glitterati,
That's very nice. Well, so you're a Chicago guy, right?
Originally, yeah.
Originally.
Yep.
When did you move to California?
1987, 27 years old.
For what?
To get away from my past. I mean, to get away from a whole string of bad decisions and launch a new string of poor decision making.
Don't people normally go to Alaska or Florida when they're running away from their problems?
Yeah, that would have been
or
maybe
Antarctica.
That would have been.
It depends on the level of bad decisions.
San Francisco, to me, in Chicago, seemed like Alaska. I mean, nothing could have been more exotic.
Or farther away.
Or farther away.
So,
exactly.
I want to get into the book because there's a lot to talk about with it, and I just want to say, first of all, that I've always been a fan of Lagunitas, but in reading the book, I've discovered, Tony, you're my hero, and I think that people are going to understand why, especially if you read the book. It's actually that Tony is no holds barred in this book, and he talks about all your downfalls. You talk about the things you screwed up.
There's way more of those than there were the others.
You talk about all the things you didn't know about and that you fumbled your way through. You give recognition to a lot of luck and good people that helped out. And all the way through, I'm reading that and I'm just going, I love this guy because I've been an idiot the whole time running the Brewing Network.
And I tell you, and you never listen.
But look where you've ended up here. This is a wonderful thing you guys got going here.
And we ended up here, and it's fun for me to read your story too because it made me feel not as alone as you're like a kindred idiot with me. That's a compliment, I think.
Somebody's life is just a fall down the stairs. You think you're climbing them, but the truth is you're heading.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, I could also admit that so Sierra Nevada Pale Ale introduced me to craft beer, but Lagunitas IPA made me fall in love with craft beer. It's the one that made me go like, oh, there's a bunch of crazy beers that should be tried.
Yeah.
It was so different at the time that I tried it. This was somewhere around, I want to say, 99 or 98 or something, and I tried IPA, and it was at a local bar right around the corner, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And it just kind of blew my mind. I think a lot of people must say that to you.
Well, I hear a lot of positive things. It's exciting to hear, I mean, always exciting to hear that. But the truth is, in the time that we made that beer, there was like nothing quite like it. And, it wasn't a good idea. I mean, that's the underlying thing,
You say in your book that you were the first California brewery to lead with an IPA. Like, it was your flagship.
That's right, yeah. That's really true. That's really true. But that was born out of the fact that, the brewery that I had a ton of respect for, Sierra Nevada Brewing, just everything they did was gold-plated, and it was incredibly well executed, and it seemed like to me like the things they did humbly and without pretense, and we began. We made a pale ale and a stout. It seemed like it just light and dark. There was a place for me to start, and I quickly realized I didn't want to compete with Sierra. I wanted to sell around them. I wanted to be a peer. I wanted to be a partner in the market.
And at that time, you would have had to compete with them, right? Because they were on tap everywhere.
But the truth is that their work was so beloved by retailers as well as consumers that nobody wanted two pale ales back then. I mean, now you go into a bar, you'll find three double IPAs.
Right.
Back then, it would be a wheat, an amber, there'd be a Coors Light or a Bud Light, and there'd be a like Red Hook ESB, and there'd be Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I mean, they wanted one of each representative style of the world. And,
okay.
Because retailers didn't understand what was going on. All they knew is they wanted to provide. They knew their customers were excited about variety, and they wanted to provide some variety, and they only wanted to have like 6 or 8 taps. There weren't very many 50 tap bars back then,
Sure.
Now it's very common. So I wanted to sell around this great brewery, and so we did the IPA as a way to be able to sell alongside.
And it turned out obviously to be a great decision, and especially at the time, it was new. I mean,
it was, yeah.
So,
but I grew up as a musician, and what you want to do is you want to stand on the shoulders of giants, and they've climbed that last hill, and maybe you'll see something a little further away if you do. And so that was the idea there, is to try to find something new to do, something that hadn't been thought of before. And that meant that intrinsically it wasn't going to be a good idea. In fact, it was going to be a long shot.
Right.
And if people loved it right away, back then, I mean, we could have made a wheat beer, we could have made a fruit beer, we could have made an amber ale. I mean, all those things were like what everybody was doing. I remember there was an Old Milwaukee Red at the time.
Right.
And Weinhardt's Red, I don't know. But it seemed like, it's like I want to find something new that hasn't been done yet.
Sure.
And
Weinhardt's Red was good, by the way. I drank a lot of that. I was in Taco Bell for a couple years.
Lived on it.
Taco Bell beer right there.
Well, let's back up even further.
Well, I was going to ask if the IPA was something that you brought with you from homebrewing beforehand.
It wasn't. Nope, not even close. Not even close. And IPAs were they were pretty exotic things back then. I mean,
sure.
Homebrewers made them, and because it was exciting for homebrew. The more anything you put in the kettle, the better. It was just more stuff and everything.
Very simple concept. More must be better.
Yeah, exactly. But there's Bridgeport, and Anderson Valley made a nice IPA. It was 100 IBU IPA back then. This is Ken Allen. I mean, and it was, but it was all first edition hopping. And that was a thing that I think that we did early, that only Grant Johnston, who was brewing at Marin Brewing at the time, did these heavy late editions, small early editions, and late heavy editions. And that was the model I built our thing on. And I found that yielded an opportunity to make an IPA that didn't taste like anything anyone had done before.
Yeah, and it did. Yeah. I remember Bridgeport, too. That's one I found after your beer, and I went looking for those types of things. And bottle-conditioned Bridgeport IPA.
And there was Grant's IPA as well, out of Washington. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was those were all very traditional, heavy first edition. And that heavy first edition, you get a very astringent bitterness. I mean, it's in your face. It's puckering kind of stuff. There's this other fraction of hops that appears with the late edition that now everybody understands, and it's very commonly kind of employed. But
sort of shifted to that now.
Yeah, but back then it wasn't thought of. And Grant, like I said, Grant Johnston, he was fucking with that stuff and was doing some really interesting things with it. And what knocks me out about that is that brewing by that time is already 15,000 years old. There's 4 ingredients, and there is still something new to know about it.
Yeah, yeah,
it's crazy.
So let's back up even further. So before Lagunitas, before you got into brewing,
the diaper
period. Yeah, we're going to go all the way back. Well, first the earth cooled, and then
we're back to shitting again. Right?
Yeah, right. We always go back to shitting. You're going to learn that quick. You move out here. What was your job pre-Lagunitas?
I moved out. I was playing in a reggae band back there, working nowhere jobs and doing nothing that was going anyplace. And so I came out here actually just to kind of straighten out. And I got a job. Offer from a company in Los Angeles to sell printing. And they said to me, "Well, okay." My dad had moved to Los Angeles, and I came to visit him. And then I met this printing company, and they said, "Well, we have an opening in San Francisco." I'm like,
okay.
Oh. I kind of wanted to live in L.A.,
Right.
And I'm like, what's it like up there? All I could picture was rice-a-roni, and the really, the sales manager said, well, some people really like it up there.
Right.
So I got on a plane, came up, and I was selling commercial printing for the first 12 years of the brewery.
Wow.
Our first 12 years of living here, and 5 of those overlapped with the brewery.
Okay, 5 years into the brewery. That's something I definitely wanted to get to. You were still working. And I want to talk about, we'll talk, when we get to financing a little bit, we'll talk about that.
Right.
But so you were a musician first.
Yeah.
And you're classically trained as well, right? Like you can compose and...
Yeah, I studied composition. I wanted to write music for television commercials, which at the time was a giant industry in Chicago. I mean, there were, all of the great consumer product companies had ad agencies in Chicago or New York, and Chicago was one of those centers. And it was a career.
You had some gigs at that, and then you say in the book that mononucleosis ended your jingle career.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, we were recording. I had done not the final production for it, but the sketch for a Philadelphia cream cheese commercial, and I turned to the producer and I said, "Man, I really don't feel good. I went to the doctor. He says I might have mono," and like the room cleared immediately, and they told me to go home.
Right.
And by the time I was back and ready to go a month later, that my seat had been filled, and I was back to scratch. And the truth is, I'm a pretty good musician, but there are people who are freaking great, and there's only 3 jobs, so it was all right. It was just Darwin having his way with my career choice.
Sure.
But the truth is, I think I studied music so that I'd know how to create a brand. I think I studied composition so that I would understand how to build a beer recipe.
Okay.
You know, I spent 1 year in design. I didn't know why, but turned out it was so that I could design beer labels. I mean, you know, Steve Jobs has this great thing. He says, you know, when you're looking forward, you can't connect the dots. So you have to, you know, you're looking backwards, you can always connect the dots. Oh, this happened, that happened, so this would occur, and it brought me here, you know. But looking forward, you just have to trust in something else. And so, but when I look backwards, it's like clearly all the learning was meaningful and nothing was wasted. They were misdirected, and I finally found the thing to do.
I think that's a great message for young entrepreneurs or even just young people. I remember a lot of times going, what the fuck am I doing? And why did I take this? And why did I take that? And you're really down on yourself sometimes because you're kind of going nowhere.
You feel like you're just spinning your wheels.
You do. But you do realize later on when you get to where maybe you're supposed to be, like you feel you have, and I feel that I'm where I'm supposed to be, you can connect the dots.
That's a fact.
And you go, if I didn't have even that shitty moment, and some of them were good moments, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, my 1 year in design school was at the Mahaly Nagy New Bauhaus School of Design at Illinois Institute of Technologies down in the south side of Chicago. And in the first year, I was studying product design, not graphic design, 3D product design. And the first year, though, all they do is 2D. And it was the first semester was just black and white type. There were no pictures. It was just arranging type on a page. Look at our labels. It's like that's all that I do. But the thing about it is it gave the labels a unique voice.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with type as medium, you know, and if I learned more, I'd be a more ordinary designer, and my labels would look more like other people's, and they wouldn't be bad, but they look different than they do.
Okay.
How come Lagunitas doesn't have a jingle?
A jingle. you know,
I mean, it does. They just forgot.
Lagunitas. You know, for some people, like those things get in your blood like a bacteria. For me, it's like an antibody.
Maybe we should write a Lagunitas jingle.
We really need to. They're incredibly effective.
On the show. We should cobble one together. We're all relatively
talented,
right?
Well,
Nate's
here. You weren't going to use that word.
I didn't want to choke
Lagunitas, that's the name, and just flush your troubles down the drain.
You don't have to be sober at Lagunitas Brewery.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that now, but back in the 50s, that would have been fine. That would have been a great jingle. Now, speaking of things, you kind of say everything in this book, and you briefly say, you know, when you were in bands before, that you finally quit the band because you were high on LSD for 30 days?
Well,
Did I read that correctly?
Yeah.
What happened there? Just
reggae and LSD to me don't go together. But what do I know?
Were you Bob Marley reincarnated for 30 days?
Have you ever looked closely at Bob Marley or Peter Tosh or Jimmy Cliff? I mean, those guys, they were higher than just a little bit of weed.
They were, absolutely.
So, now, when you do a thing, you want to do it well.
That's true.
Even LSD.
Yeah.
So, the LSD stuff. Well, we were tripping and eating mushrooms and you know, just smoking weed and playing. I mean, because we'd be out on the road, like, you know, sometimes 2 weeks at a pop, and we'd be back home for 3-4 days and back out. And after a while, it's just sitting on the bus, you know, riding between college towns around the Midwest and such, you know, you get quite bored. And
sure.
So you start entertaining yourself. But the thing is that we weren't making any money. I come back home and I had an MG, and it never ran.
Yeah.
So I come back and my rent would be due, my car wouldn't be working. We needed some money, and so we talked to a friend who we knew had a friend who knew a guy who had a buddy up in Rockford, Illinois, and we drove up to Rockford and we bought a sheet of Mr. Natural from him, but the thing is, he was tripping, and he sold us 3 sheets without knowing it, and so we decided we would follow our initial plan because it's important to follow through and sell 1 sheet, and the other 2 sheets we ended up eating.
You did,
yeah.
I can't imagine. So I've done all these things as well.
7 hits. You wake up, 7 hits, go back to sleep, wake up tripping, go to philosophy of religion. You know, try to.
I can't imagine what you're like coming out the other side of that.
You know, it was probably a year before I could speak clearly.
Yeah,
honest to God.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
if I had to say something like, you know, throw the elephant down the drain. You know, I mean, the elephant. I mean, those my mouth wouldn't make those noises for a better part of the year. And I worked as a short order cook.
Wow.
Because I didn't have to talk very much.
Yeah.
Perfect gig.
Send you tickets.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had
but all these experiences pile up, and they make if you're lucky, you survive them, and it just gives you a perspective on the world that others won't have.
Sure.
You know?
And Lagunitas does have a very unique personality. You talk about it in the book in terms of how your fans, like us, relate to it. I think it's your unique personality, not just the great beer, that makes us love Lagunitas.
And it's not mine solely. You know, I'm like a lens at the brewery. Like as a composer, right? So I write a piece of music. It goes on to pieces of paper that have dots and lines on it. I hand them to virtuosos who then turn those things into sounds and emotions and feelings and pictures in people's minds. You know, so it's like I'm still that with the brand and the company. I'm sort of a lens, but you know Ron Lindenbush, you know Jeremy. You know, I mean, these are the people that that really bring the richness and the depth to the vibe at the brewery. I mean, I continue to be that lens, but I'm not the author of it by any means.
Sure. You know? All the way at the end of the book, you even kind of expound on that, where you talk about maybe the success of not just Lagunitas, but craft beer.
Yeah.
Is from the consumers and what we want and give back to you guys.
There's a giant hole in the world that sucked all of us into it to serve it. And, it's like the 1,000 monkeys sitting at a typewriter, Eventually one will type Shakespeare, And so the same thing has happened. There's just this consumer need for a thing. And so people did all kinds of crazy things to try to fill it. Some of us brewed beer, and it turned out that was what people wanted. The people didn't even know they wanted it. They knew they needed something.
Right.
They wanted something to build community around. I use the word tribe a lot. It's like and craft brewing serves this fundamental human need that the big breweries simply can't. The imports could never in a million years, and soda pop can't. Beer is a different sort of ritual.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, when you really spend enough time with beer, you start realizing how deep into the essential nature of life on Earth that beer actually is connected.
Yes.
It's a profound relationship. There's no explaining it. It's just true.
We've talked about why craft beer is so important, and that our favorite part of the industry is the people. We've talked about it, but what you're saying really put a fine point on it for me, was that maybe we just had a need, like you said, and craft beer just happened to fill it and give us that community and a common ground and an experience every time we take a drink and talk about it with our friends that we just didn't have before.
So the brewery has, we're a business. We don't have a board of directors. I mean, the board of directors is my wife and myself and one friend, but we have an advisory board. And one of the people on the advisory board, these are some frickin' monsters of the universe. One of the guys is the chief marketing officer from Facebook.
All right.
And so we'll be meeting on Friday. And I said to him that the last time we met that I think beer is the original social media.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they called them public houses, because it was where the tribe, the town, the community met to births and deaths, the news of the day, the conflicts, resolve things, spend time, bonding. I mean, it's the original social media.
Yeah, the original information highway, if you will.
Exactly.
Pathway.
And it was the social lubricant for that particular form of.
Yeah, let's not forget that important part.
Yeah, lubricant for social intercourse. That's right.
Or just lube.
Never forget lube.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned your wife.
Yeah.
So in the
Carissa.
beginning, you had a good gig with the paper, but it kind of went south. And for lack of a better term, you were kind of fucked before Lagunitas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking bankruptcy here.
Yeah,
and you even thought, and you were newly married, but you even thought, wow, this might not happen either.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that period of time that led you up to Lagunitas?
Well, we ain't got nothing to lose, right? So all of a sudden, anything's possible. And there I was, at 33 years old with a ton of resource, but no avenue. And so we were married, and the printing business was kind of coming, kind of collapsed during the Gulf War period. And all of a sudden, I bought a house, and I owed $50,000 in taxes because my printing business went away because of the Gulf War, and just a whole constellation of things kind of crossed, and I wasn't sure I was going to be married for much longer anyway. And so I rented this building down the street, and I had brewed one batch of homebrew, and I could see my way to doing more of that. And so I rented this little building down the street and went and applied for a beer license. Didn't ask my wife or anything.
After one batch of homebrew.
Was it even finished? Or did you just brew it?
It was finished. It was finished.
Oh.
I brewed it and I drank it, and it was delicious. The second batch was in process as I was deciding to start the brewery. The second batch turned out terrible.
Was that the Cal Common that you write about in the book?
Yeah, that was Anchor.
Yeah.
But the thing about it was that, again, being a musician, right? You play one gig, you play really well, and you're like, fuck, I got my shit together. You play next to it, you just suck ass. You can't figure out why. How. So the difference is how prepared you were.
Yeah.
It's not.
You just
whether or not
described
it
my
can be.
music career, by the way.
Yeah, well,
I played one gig that was great, and the rest of them sucked.
Except for the first part.
But see, the thing is, that to me was exciting the gap there between the two things. It's like, I can learn to do this. You know, I know how to focus. I know how to. I could do it once. I can do it twice, and I just haven't yet. So, so I read the space so I could live in it if I had to. You know,
it was your backup plan.
Yeah, it was my backup plan.
You're still married to the same woman now.
Yep, and she has a big role at the brewery, and she runs all the trucking and logistics parts of it all. Yep.
But if it doesn't work out, you have a legit brewery to stay at now.
I got tanks I can live in if I had to. Yeah.
Got a couch.
Yep, exactly.
So you guys made it through some really tough times, and I don't want to go too far into it because you really should read the book. But something that Tony describes in the book are the financial difficulties of not just being an entrepreneur, but particularly for being a brewery, and not just a brewery, but a successful brewery. In detail, you really describe that, okay, so we're selling more beer, and people like it, and the brand is working, and I'm selling more beer, so now I need more equipment, and now I need to hire somebody. And you start to talk about cash flow, which is something people, for some reason, aren't taught in even all the brewing schools.
No.
So what ended up happening is the more successful you became, the harder it was for you even to stay in business. Do I have that about right?
Every day.
Okay.
Every day is like that. You know, it's like a high school, kid growing. You're growing 2 inches a year, and no matter how many chocolate sundaes, banana splits you cannot put on a pound. And in fact, you're getting your back starting to kind of get curved because you're just growing too quickly and you can't keep up. And your body, that's the business when it's growing that fast. It's just out of. I mean, the sort of cheeky kind of accountant way to say it is that your balance sheet eats you alive.
Sure. You do a great job of describing what it means, I think, in a practical way. So instead of just talking about balance sheets, what Tony does is he really goes, so here's what happens. You got to order all the raw materials to produce beer. And then those people want to be paid. But the beer doesn't go out for X amount of days. And then even when it goes out, you're not going to be paid for another X amount of days from the people who bought the beer. And by then, the first people who you bought all the ingredients for are calling to get paid on their bill, but you haven't been paid on your bill of all the beer that you sold. And it kind of scared the shit out of me the way you write it, actually, Tony.
I was trying to. It was scary.
It must have been.
Yeah.
And all the while, now, during this time, your answer most of the time was to work harder at your day job in order to pay your employees and everything else.
Yep, that's right. I was selling printing in order to just generate cash because you need to be. They say, well, you got to be well capitalized. Well, that was what it was I was doing. I was just, I was making a lot of money selling printing, and I'd get a big check, for 5 figures on it, and I would take $2,000 home and use it to pay the mortgage with, and put the rest of it directly into the brewery, and never even tell my wife that the check arrived.
Well, the point that you made, I see happen all the time, where breweries open and they're undercapitalized, and one thing they forget to put on their business plan is the operating income you need to get you going through that first cycle. Buy the ingredients, make the beer.
But there's no way there's really, if you're growing at like 20%, there's no way you can earn enough.
That's a growing number. Then
yeah. And then so what you need. So the answer, if you talk to business school kids, they go, well, you need to raise more capital. Well, that means you got to sell some stock of your company. And so here you're hardly even at the starting line, and you're already starting to sell bits of your company away. And believe me, as you go down the road, there's lots of reasons to raise money that make a big difference later rather than...
But again, you even put that very simple equation into perspective when the NBA comes in and says, well, yeah, you need to raise capital, so sell some stock. Well, the stock that you sell for $50 today is worth $6,000 10 years from now. And that's what you've really given away. And this is the perspective I'm talking about that's really useful.
Yeah. The only money capital that we raised was in 1999. I mean, the real big, there's little bits here and there afterwards, but it was $1.2 million, or no, $600,000 I raised. We valued the company at $1.2 million at the time. And so basically I sold half of the company for $600,000.
Wow.
I mean, today that's a rounding error.
Yeah.
It is.
Right.
I mean, it's really, but so when you think about raising equity money, it's the most expensive financing you'll ever do.
Sure. So now Tony gives, I want to say, some advice throughout the book, but most of the advice is given through examples of things that you've screwed up and figured out how to do better.
I try not to preach. That's
and you
stupid.
didn't.
I just wanted to say that here's how bad it can be if you're not careful.
Well, and everybody
or
knows
if you're like me,
the successes already.
Right.
We're familiar with that. But nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear what didn't happen or what went wrong.
They do.
Right.
And also, I've never read a book where where the author talks about even some of the shystery things that you got to do to stay alive.
Yeah.
And Tony does it. So I won't read. I'm going to read the part about the taxes. But before the paragraph that I'm going to read you, Tony, it's this hilarious story about him opening enough bank accounts just to keep money moving enough so that the IRS couldn't dock his pay because you were in such trouble in the beginning that you were behind on taxes.
That's right. Yeah.
Here's a great piece of advice from Tony. I'm just going to read the paragraph. If you get in trouble with your taxes, during the third year of the income tax lateness, I got a little wiser. Here's what I learned about how the IRS does what it does. If you have a problem and you don't have the money that you owe on April 15th, file anyway. 45 days later, they're going to send you a letter demanding the dough. Take that letter and smoke it. Don't answer. If you do, you'll end up talking to a very menial 1-800 type attendant who will push a little button on their screen and start a sinister timer running. There will be no negotiating. Instead, if you can stand it, wait until you get the 5th letter around September. It will come via certified mail. Answer that one right away. That letter will have a different phone number on it, and it rings to the Seattle office called the ACS, Automated Collection Service, but it's not automated at all. The hold music is Vivaldi, and it will drive you crazy.
Four seasons.
Eventually, you'll speak to a person who can make deals. Not on the amount, but on the terms. Make them a promise, and then, by all means, keep it. If you can't keep it, call them the day before and tell them. They won't like it, but if you keep your end of the deal, which includes telling them before you're late, they'll keep their end of the deal, too. No more seizing bank accounts. If you don't want to wait for the 5th letter, call me. I kept the secret ACS number just in case.
Wow. That is practical advice.
Yeah. But it's really just talking about, like, this was a real thing happening in your life, and not everybody puts it in the written form.
I'd be sitting there. I can picture it right now. I'm sitting there at the counter in our kitchen. I'm sitting on the porch, looking into the house it's kind of dark because the way things are. My wife's sitting in the living room watching television, and I'm listening to, the Four Seasons.
Driving you nuts.
And for 45 minutes, waiting to talk to this one guy who would go, "Hi, Tony."
Wow.
By name. Because we got to know each other.
Okay, yeah.
But
where's the money, T-Dog?
Yeah. But you pay your obligations. The real truth of that, the underlying message and all that is that honesty blows people away. And if you're really on top of it, I owed the glass company enormous amounts of money over terms, 6 months over terms. But I would talk to that guy every couple months, and I'd go in and make presentations about the business. He'd call, I answered every one of his calls, and sometimes the answer was like, "I don't have it," and he'd say, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I would say what I thought I could do. And if it turned out I couldn't do it, I'd call him back before. And it's just, even just recently, we went through a giant bank. 2008-9 kind of really upset the little bank that we were working with out of Spokane, and they were great people, but eventually they got sold, and that got sold again. And so the new bank didn't want to go any further, and we were in the middle of building the Chicago brewery, and so now we had to go through a bank review. We found a new bank, so we found a new bank. It's Chase Manhattan, J.P. Morgan.
Big bank,
and Wells Fargo, syndicating it. And this is just like last month. We're about to sign all the loan docs. Things are going to close. And we're talking about a $150 million debt package in addition to kind of refinancing our existing package. And we weren't going to meet our 12-month projection numbers. And we realized because Chicago had opened a little bit late, and the question was, well, is this material? Our accountants are wringing their hands. Do we have to tell them? If it's a material event, we have to tell them. Well, how do we determine if this is material? I said, fuck it, it's material.
Tell them. Be honest.
So we called up, and the Wells, who's the lead finance, there's one guy. They don't have a loan committee. There's one guy, and he's like, your stock just went through the roof here.
Right.
Thank you for calling.
Doing it.
He said, why are you bothering us with this? But thank you for calling. Because it made a difference. And
this is a good point.
So this
just
is
be honest.
ongoing, and it doesn't matter if we're small or like this is last month.
It's great advice. It's just mind-blowing that the IRS also works that way.
Yeah, they do.
Well, you have to wait until it's certified mail.
That's the thing. If you call 1-800-IRS, you're in trouble.
Oh, man.
Those are the money.
At that point, it's collection agency, right? So it's the different. So they just want anything.
Yeah.
They'll just take whatever you can give them.
Your first brewery, it cost you $5,000.
Yep.
Now you might pay that for a pump, right?
Yeah.
At the new brewery.
And that's cheap.
And that's there's a lot of stories All right, this is the first interview I've done since we've moved into our shiny new digs.
And it is shiny.
Where I wish we were still in the garage. Because I almost, like I'm a sellout talking to Tony, because he talks about the stories when things were a mess. That first $5,000 brewery, you caused a power outage in the city you were in because you didn't know what the hell you were doing with the thing.
Yeah.
There's all these...
Seriously?
Yeah,
what the hell happened there?
Close to it.
Well, something like the brew house. The first brew house was all electric. I mean, it was built to be shipped to Russia, where they don't have natural gas in the back countries. And then the order fell through, so I was able to buy it kind of inexpensively. But it was a 100-amp kettle. I mean, my whole house is 100 amps, you know. But I didn't ground it. I didn't. How would I know? But from grounding, I don't know anything from ground. So
you're supposed to stick a rod into the ground, right? Literally ground it.
I did, but when I first turned the kettle on, the elements on the bottom somehow had grounded to the chassis of the thing, and there's a contactor, this big kind of thing, that's a sort of a fuse, and it was slamming back and forth. The lights in the building were going on and off, and all of a sudden someone comes in from the street saying, "What's happening in here? The street lights are blinking."
No way.
Wow. So from a safe distance with a 2x4, I turned the breaker back off, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
And put in a ground rod. So.
But it's amazing that you were even able to get a brewery to start Lagunitas for $5,000, right?
Well, that was the little brew house. But the whole thing was $30 all put together because of the refrigeration, some tanks. But the brew house, the kettle mash tun and a hot liquor thing, it was $5,000. It was ridiculous.
It was built in a container, like a container ship container. Some guy just made these modular things.
Yep.
A lot of Grundy tanks.
John Cross, man. I mean, his brew houses are all over California, all over the country for that matter.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was a wild man, crazy guy out of Porterville, California.
It's a fascinating story. I want to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about some of the successes as well. We won't talk about all the failures, but I just think that you do a great job of just laying it all on the line for us to learn from. And for me, in my case, I just got to relate to it because I was like, oh, man, I did a bunch of stupid things, too. It's good stuff. We're talking to Tony McGee. He's the founder of Lagunitas Brewing Company, of course. We've got his beer on tap here at the Hop Grenade. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the beer and some of the successes at Lagunitas. Hang in there. It's The Session.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
For nearly 40 years, one organization has had your back. The American Homebrewers Association. Are you a member? Why not? Join the more than 40,000 brewers who enjoy all the American Homebrewers Association has to offer. Like Zymergy Magazine, in print and online, plus the Zymergy app. Zymergy is the leading publication for amateur brewers around the world. Supporters also get member deals at their local breweries, bars, and homebrew shops. These alone quickly pay for your membership. You'll also get great member-only resources at homebrewersassociation.org and access to AHA events like the National Homebrewers Conference and the National Homebrew Competition. The American Homebrewers Association promotes the hobby of homebrewing, protects the interests of homebrewers, and brings beer lovers together. Become a member today. It costs less than a batch of beer and gives back so much more. Visit homebrewersassociation.org. Three-time Ninkasi Award winner and Grandmaster Judge Gordon Strong invites you on a guided journey of what's new in the world of homebrewing. Modern homebrew recipes, exploring styles, and contemporary techniques available now from Brewers Publications. Gordon brings you specific advice and sensory profiles for as-brewed, award-winning beers with delicious variations to get your creative juices flowing. This is more than just a book of recipes. It sets brewers on the path to discovering what's new in the world of homebrewing. AHA Director Gary Glass says, if you want to enter competitions or just learn more about styles that you might not have experience with, this book is going to help you tremendously. By emulating what Gordon does, you're going to make better beer. Modern homebrew recipes, exploring styles, and contemporary techniques by Gordon Strong. Available right now from brewerspublications.com and find brewing retailers near you.
That's it. I've had it. I am
never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states. Plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small. Single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit.
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
You're tuned into this session.
Because life's too short to listen to crappy radio.
Yes, that's right. Welcome back to the show, and thanks for hanging out with us, both at home and at the Hop Grenade. We got great beer on tap tonight at the Grenade if you want to come on out. Got some cool events coming up, too. You know, we've got Allagash Brett Fest is coming up here this Friday at the Hop Grenade. And the following Friday, we're having Tasty Night.
It's going to be tasty.
Yeah, we've got 4 different collaboration beers that Tasty has done with great brewers around the Bay.
They all ask me, so I sound like I'm...
I love it. I think it's great. We're going to have...
Is there like a brown ale or something?
There
like
will
something
be
like,
a Russian River Janet's Brown.
It'll be there, yes.
There will be...
Do you like make that with an Italian guy?
There will be Faction Tasty Vapor. There will be... Cleophas Queely Session IPA.
It's a Session IPA, but we're calling it a Session Pale Ale.
Those guys are cool.
And also, I believe, Evil 3.
Evil 3 from Heretic.
From Heretic, which was also brewed with Mitch Steele from Stone.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one hell of a night here at the Grenade.
Yeah, and probably some other Russian River beer that,
might find its way down here.
Might make its way here.
Ooh.
That's the rumor. So that's March. That's Friday the 13th of March. And then we've got a good Brett Fest with Allagash here this coming Friday. So it's good things happening at the Grenade. Also, real quick, as we're about to get into how Doc fixed his beer, I want to remind you of our wonderful sponsor over at Beersmith Brewing Software. You can go to beersmith.com right now, and it's a great piece of software. You get a free 21-day trial. It's going to work on your Mac or your PC. I happen to know for a fact that Doc used it as part of his salvation project here with this beer, and he's going to teach us a little bit about how he used Beersmith to save the beer, and you can too. So go right now. If you're going to listen to the rest of the program on your own, maybe you press pause, you get out of the car, you go to work, you come back. I recommend you go over to Beersmith, download the software, because Doc's actually going to talk to you specifically about how he used the Beersmith brewing software to save this beer. So go check out our wonderful sponsor over at beersmith.com. So, Doc, before the break, where we left off was that the repitching of the yeast didn't really cut the mustard, and you still weren't willing to give up on the beer. So I want to know where your head is at. What options do you still have to get this beer to ferment out?
Okay, we go back to the first option, dump it.
Yeah.
But as Tasty says, it's still a pretty good beer.
Yeah.
It's not.
To me.
Yeah, it's different. So the other thing is doctor it up with something.
So you mentioned that, like you could do a little bourbon something.
Yeah, throw some like peach in there, right?
Maybe vanilla.
Yeah,
a couple of vanilla beans.
Yeah, something like that. And but I also want to try to dry it out some. And the two basic methods are going to be dilute it with sterile water.
Okay, so literally just add water.
Right.
Okay.
Just act like your Anheuser.
That's right, kids.
Yeah, act like your Anheuser-Busch, and you high gravity brew, and then you dilute it down to wherever you're your target.
instead of 8.8%, you make a 7.8. It's not sweet.
Right.
Did you think of making a new style called Sour Baltic Porter?
Right.
No, I didn't.
It's everybody's go-to, isn't it?
Right.
Sour it!
Yeah, just sour. It's too sweet.
A lot of breweries, it accidentally goes sour, then they could say it's sour.
I do have a 5-gallon cask that would have done that real well for me. That was sitting right there in the corner.
Yeah.
But that's not the right way to do it. We're joking about that.
Right.
I want to give some good info
I'm
here.
trying to. Basically, the only problem that I really had with it just wasn't dry enough.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, okay, if we just dilute it, we're going to dilute everything. That means we're diluting the hops. We're going to dilute, the bitterness. We're going to dilute the maltiness, the color, everything. So that's one option. The other one is a rescue beer. I'm going to brew a different beer and brew it to fix things that are in the first beer. Usually I reserve that, though, to fix other things, not just finishing gravity stuff.
So the brewing of a second beer is also diluting it, but at least then you're allowed to control maybe some of the other components. Because you could add hops back, you can add... Okay.
Mm-hmm. If I get something that's not hoppy or too hoppy, then... I can deal with that too.
It's a different kind of dilution that gives you a little more control.
Exactly.
Now wait a second though.
The day rescue beer is on the way.
Didn't you do something though in between? Like, I know this sounds crazy, but like adding Beano and things like that to a beer.
What? Yeah.
Was that something?
Actually, I did do that in the primary one too. Just it's an enzyme. It helps break down some of the unfermentables.
Did you do that before you repitched or
Yeah,
after?
I did. That was one of the things I forgot about. That I tried that. It didn't have a whole lot of oomph to it.
Really?
Right.
So you literally just take like off the shelf Beano and throw it in there, hoping that it breaks down enough enzymes to ferment.
You can get the
White Labs does have enzymes that will also do that.
Right.
So if you have issues about dumping Beano out of the box into your fermenter,
which for some reason I do.
Yeah, you can buy it from White Labs.
Oh,
and
excellent!
It'll come in a nice little container.
I
and you
prefer
can dump
that.
it in.
It's basically galactosidase, and
of course it is.
For brewers, you can only buy like the 100-pound box kind of thing for so long.
Okay.
And now, we're starting to be able to get small quantities of it so we can use it.
Okay.
It helps to break down unfermentables and
long chain destruction,
long chain things. You get ropey beers and things like that. It helps break them down better. But
that didn't work either.
It's been around a long time for commercial brewers, but you just couldn't get it in small enough quantities. And
just to be clear, you literally went to Safeway and bought Beano.
I've done this before.
Okay.
It's not new to me.
They know him at Safeway.
Yeah.
Oh, Beano again?
Yeah.
Got that stuck fermentation.
Okay.
God, if I thought of Beano.
I've used it
He's a gassy man.
I've used it as well, but I can't remember any dosing rate to recommend. Do you have an idea?
It's only going to it's an enzyme. It's only going to do so much.
So it's hard to overdo it.
Yeah, it's good until it runs out of stuff.
You just chuck some in there. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, so it comes in two basic model. It comes in the pill form, and it comes in a capsule. I like the capsules because it's already.
I got a liquid version when I used it before.
Yeah, no,
they don't make that anymore.
Doc knows, man.
So you grind up the pills, or do you let?
No, it comes in the capsules, kind of like
gel cap.
Oh, so you can open them and
gel cap.
Yeah, gel cap. Looks like I just open them up and put them in there.
Okay,
and it has worked for me before in the past.
Okay.
And how about the gas? How's that? Okay, the control.
You said it worked. It's worked for him before in the past.
It's worked before.
So, all right. So you added the Beano. Did it do anything?
Not much. No. I've used it in the mash before, and it really helps.
Okay.
But it didn't really work this time.
In what scenario would you use it in the mash before you knew you had trouble? Just in a high-gravity beer in general?
Yeah. I don't use it for trouble or anything. I'm going to have certain adjuncts that are going to have more unfermentables to them.
Okay.
Do you know, is it that enzyme alcohol sensitive? Because I know like pectic enzyme, when you add it to fruit must and things like that, you want to do it before fermentation because alcohol inhibits the effectiveness of that.
It can.
Okay.
Also, I looked up what the ideal temperature is for it. I didn't want to overcook it and things. So that's where it comes in when we start talking about the rescue beer.
Okay.
Because I still had some Beano left.
So the Beano didn't work, and so now you're faced with a couple of, three options. One we know you're not going to do, which is dump it. Your other two options are to dilute it with just sterile water, or to dilute it with another beer, and to actually brew a beer that maybe you've designed to dilute it. Which option did you choose?
Both.
Of course you did.
Why not?
So what'd you do? Split the batch?
Yeah. Well, I have so much of it. I've got kegs and kegs of this stuff. So I just pulled some out, did some math with it on what I wanted to do with it first, and I pulled out my beersmith. If you look in, there's a couple of places to get it. It'll usually come up in the left pane. It says tools, or up in the top bar, it'll say tools. Click on that. Run down to where it says dilution tool.
Okay.
And then it'll tell you your starting beer or your wort, whatever you're going to have.
Yeah.
And you put in your volume and your specific gravity. And so I put in the first beer.
Yeah. Which was what at this point you said? About 1030?
No, it was down to 1023 at this point.
Okay, yeah.
And it's within guidelines, but to me it was just a little too sweet still.
Okay.
It didn't, it kind of took away from the roastiness for me.
Okay.
That's what it did. So I figured out if I'm going to be diluting it, I put in my parameters, what I want for them. And I did it in short kegs, Scotties.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Just in case it went awry. Anyway.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first one was water, and I had a target in my head what I wanted for the final gravity, and it was about 1021. And I played with the numbers until I got it, and it turns out to be about 15% of the water. So I boiled water, cooled it down. I put it in the keg, just put it in the refrigerator and let the small keg cool down. Added the wort on top of it up to fill the keg. I knew how much it was in there. Got it carbonated, and that's what you got.
Okay. Now, so just to reiterate, you found out the dilution factor in Beersmith.
Very, very important.
It helped you know how much water to add. But I also want to reiterate, you're now diluting everything in the beer. The hop, everything. Mm-hmm. So it's just sort of across the board.
Yeah, and I wasn't worried about it with this beer because it was big everything in this beer. It was big maltiness. There was enough hops that it wasn't going to be fine. It's not a big hop-forward beer, but it wasn't going to dilute it down to the point where it was noticeable.
So one of these beers in front of me is the water-diluted beer, right?
Right.
Do we know which one, Moskowitz?
Yeah, from left to right, you have your dilute, and then your final.
The beer diluted. Okay, so,
the
on my left is the water.
The middle one should be the watered down one.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Wait, the middle one.
Well, I think yours is messed up.
You mixed them up, Nicole. You moved the one that was on the left to the right.
So that should be your water diluted.
So yeah, your one on the left is your diluted, and then your middle one is.
I had them in the row because I didn't have room. This is the first one you poured.
Okay.
Then that one goes over here.
So get rid of that one.
It goes over there. And
the fuller one is the not diluted one.
This is the water diluted.
Yes.
So is this the second one?
So that's the one in your.
That one came out of the big bottle, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is the water diluted one supposed to be second?
It's
Yeah.
pretty obvious.
Except for you did that thing where you put the ball under the cup and you shuffle the cups real quick. And
Right,
where is
Yeah.
If a cat can do it.
I'm shifty.
Yes.
So the water diluted one I'm tasting is already a better beer.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's still a little sweet in my opinion. But I don't feel like the hops disappeared. I don't feel like a whole bunch of the other components vanished because you diluted it. It's okay. I like it better, that's for sure.
Then the roast showed up too.
The roast showed up. It's almost like a big ass Schwartz beer now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get like
I could see that. Yeah.
I don't know something, but sometimes when a beer is just too intense, you can't really taste each component. And in this beer, because of the dilution, I feel like I can taste the full spectrum of flavors that are present. I can identify each one individually. There's something really beautiful about that. Maybe other people don't like that. Maybe they just want to be bludgeoned with the flavor and not really know and just drown in the swamp of flavor. But I like
each piece
to be able to taste each piece, and when it comes easily in a beer like this one, it's nice. It's relaxing in a way.
Yeah.
I think it just made it instantly very drinkable.
Yeah.
You can it just goes down too smooth and too easy.
And you said this was adding about 15%
15% water.
That's a lot, it seems like.
It was in 2.5 gallon keg, it was maybe a liter.
And this got you down to what? 10
1021.
1021. Okay.
And what is that? How does that affect the alcohol content?
I didn't bother punching the numbers in, so it doesn't show
But
up
it
on
was-
the dilution.
Oh, so that's a good question because you're dropping your.
Is that
85% is whatever.
Well, right, but what was the alcohol content of the 23 beer? I guess
8.8.
Okay, so then you could just do some math and figure it out.
Well, I could plug it back into Beersmith and figure that out.
So Beersmith will tell you that statistic.
Not in the dilution factor here, but it would if it had that on it on the dilution tool, and I haven't played with it enough to pass that.
It lowers it to about 7.5.
Yeah, it's still a big beer.
Okay.
Yeah, not small for sure.
Because that's a good point. Because normally, when you drop the gravity, the alcohol would go up.
Right, but when you add water,
you're dropping the gravity, and the alcohol's going down
Just
as
like
well.
the bitterness and the malt character is going
Everything.
down, so is the alcohol.
Okay. So I like it, Doc. I still don't love it, but I think it's a much better beer than the first one. I think, in my humble opinion, the regular dilution factor by adding some water was a pretty good option here.
Yeah,
because it made it a better beer.
And so you just boiled the water and then let it cool, and add it in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Your second option, which you also did, was to brew an entire other beer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you approach this?
I look at the beer, what it has, the first beer, and what it has in it, component-wise, as far as taste, and what is lacking, and what it has too much of, and I try to make an anti-beer.
Now, do you do that by tasting the diluted one, tasting the watery one, and go, all right, I want this gravity, but this is what it's lacking? Or do you do it by tasting the first one?
The first one.
Okay. All right.
Because I may only do one of these two things. Because if I'm doing a rescue beer, it's sometimes there's more than just one thing wrong with it, and dilution's not going to fix it.
Okay.
So I may brew something that's a lot more hoppy, but a lot drier, because something's the other way.
Okay.
And just to try to counteract all those things. And then I start blending at this point. And because this one I'm blending for gravity. Sometimes I'm blending for flavor. So I don't know where I'm going to end up, how much I'm going to use the anti-beer to dilute the first one.
Yeah.
I do a lot of experimenting.
I like the anti-beer. It's like a superhero.
Yes, it is. Swoops in. And
So what did you brew?
Basically, I brewed another. I didn't want to dilute the Baltic Porter, so I brewed another Baltic Porter.
Oh.
But I just was tired of doing everything, and it's way past Christmas time.
Right.
So I brewed a pretty fast extract beer with grains.
Okay.
But being as nerdy as I am, I wanted to try to get the extract more fermentable. So I put some grains in with it. Got it up to about 150. Put more Beano in it.
Beano.
And I let that sit in there. Yeah. I let that was sitting in the mash tun, actually. And let it sit at 150. I put some, and then in the boil kettle, I put water, some extract, and the hops. And boiled those for a good 45 minutes.
And so Beano can handle 150 degrees and won't denature?
Yeah.
Okay.
For denatures. I kept it in the 140 to 150 range.
I'm impressed.
Then I put it over. Then I pumped it over to the boil kettle. Boiled it for about 15 minutes, just because they'd boil it already. So
Right. Okay.
I just needed to do that. Cooled it down, and I pitched it pretty much right on top of the conical that I just pulled all of the other first one out of.
So do you use Beano in all of your beers?
No, not at all.
This is the secret to winning an NHC medal every
But he
year.
does do...
Beano.
I'm not afraid of it.
Maybe it's worth trying at club night. If everybody put Beano in their beers,
see what happens.
It would be less farty.
It would be more
around
If
the
everybody
exhibit
just put
hall.
Beano in their mouth.
Exactly.
Right.
Beano may not be the answer to winning a medal at NHC, but it may be the answer to NHC.
Yes, exactly.
Club night for sure.
No, it could smell as bad. You just can't hear it.
How about you just have like a big candy bowl at your booth, big candy bowl of Beano. Just you can reach in and grab a few.
Now, so you brewed this beer and you say you just dumped it on top of...
and I roused it again.
But did you dump the entire amount on top? In other words, did you program into Beersmith, I have to brew this much beer and then I should dump all of it into the fermenter?
No,
You didn't do that.
No,
Okay.
no. I drained the fermenter into kegs. and those went into cold crash.
And left the yeast.
And I left the yeast in there.
I said, okay, I'm sorry.
I didn't blend it in the fermenter.
Now I understand. Okay, so you didn't dump it on top of the existing beer.
Yeah.
You dumped it on top of the yeast slurry.
Yes.
From the first beer.
Okay, I'm sorry. Got it.
And then I roused it again. And I didn't oxygenate it at this point. I just used CO2 and the cane and got it mixed up. And
Good, because Beardy and I would not recommend...
Well, on the second beer, you didn't give it any oxygen?
No, I couldn't. Just because it's... Wait, no.
Why not?
I did. I done
You
that.
must have.
Right. I was thinking with the other one.
Good.
No,
I'm glad
I
you
did.
read our book and added
Yes.
oxygen at the beginning.
Page 3.
I did it there because it had been boiling. Yes, I did.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so this one you...
All right, so your
Because
theory
this is a
there-
regular new fermentation. This is a new
It's a
beer.
regular fermentation. It's just like pitches. No, I did on this one.
Okay.
So many things I had done with this beer.
It's okay.
Yeah, it gets kind of confusing.
That's all right.
This one I did because I just took one beer out, dumped another one on top of the yeast cake, stirred it up, and I did oxygenate that one.
And it was another 20 gallons of beer?
Yeah.
It was?
Ish, yeah.
Okay.
He only brewed 5 batches last year.
Right, yeah.
So,
all right, so this one, so what's the OG of this beer?
that was about a 1058 beer.
Okay.
But I had kept the IBUs up too.
All right.
Getting around the 30-ish range.
And what did you get it to finish out to?
That one finished not as dry as I wanted to. I wanted it really low, and it about 1014.
Okay.
Like
What
that.
temperature did you ferment the
It
second
was a
one at?
lager temperature, same stuff. You know,
So
like,
48
it's
again?
about, this was a little more. This is about 52 probably.
Okay.
Still in the low range.
Okay. What did you want it at? 1010, 1012?
Yeah, I wanted it low, like 1010, 1012, so I could use less of it to get the OG down.
Okay.
And it ended up being 1014 or 1015, and it's just I knew I had to use more of it.
Okay.
Is there a reason you didn't say add some dextrose instead of malt extract to your starter to kind of get that low gravity?
I wanted to try to keep the Baltic Porter character to it, so I wasn't diluting as much. And using dextrose in it, I would have got the alcohol up there, and it would have been. I must have just brew a low gravity beer. It's still going to finish out low. I just have more alcohol that way, so I just didn't want to do that. And it was an experiment again, so
Sure.
I'm just trying. I might as well.
Yeah,
What the hell?
definitely.
And so this was just more of an experiment of trying to see what's going to happen, what's going to work.
Okay. So now I'm tasting this beer, which
The third one?
you've also brought us. Yeah. Now this is the one that you diluted with the second beer.
Right, and this one's about a 30% dilution.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I used the brew tools again, and worked out the numbers, and it was about a 30%.
Okay.
To get to the gravity that I wanted, and this gravity I think was a 1020 or 1021 for that one.
Got it. So I'm loving this experiment because the three beers, you can tell they're all brothers and sisters. They have the same flavor profile. The water diluted one it's a little more subtle to me. It's a little more in fact, Nicole was kind of saying I can pick out now the different flavors. There's a lot of different subtleties. The one that you diluted with beer is a little richer, a little more in your still way better than beer number one. Much more of an in-your-face kind of a flavor profile where less subtleties, more of a big Baltic, I think, character to it, which I like, but I also really kind of like the subtleties of the water diluted one.
I do too. That's what I like.
It's softer.
And you think they're all related, and that last one I did treat like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
But
what's that supposed to mean?
Never mind, Scott.
Nothing.
What do you think about the other one, Nicole? With now that the one that's diluted with beer, and anybody, what you guys think?
I'm glad they're warmer now too, because usually when they come out of my refrigerator, they're really cold, and you don't get all the cool flavors out of it like this.
Yeah.
So all the harsh fermentation characters that are in the first one were really kind of successfully, made much milder in the beer blended version. So you still get that little bit of ethyl acetate, but it's not like in your face solvent. It's kind of a background note that kind of plays into this overall flavor of the beer, like offering this like very faint hint of like a fruity character.
Okay, yeah.
That kind of like you would get in a nice chocolate. Like it has, a little hint of a fruity character that kind of makes the chocolatey flavor seem more chocolatey.
Okay.
So it's a kind of nice background, contrasting note instead of being this like prominent, intense, like your fermentation's fucked up, bro, kind of kind of aroma. It's just part of the beer, and this is actually a beautiful beer. This is like, this is like a 40-point beer in this blended version versus that original one, which is probably the biggest hot mess I've ever tasted from Doc.
From Doc, right?
That's why I didn't. That's why it almost didn't make it out of the brew house.
Yeah,
but it's really interesting to me the water diluted and the beer diluted one, how similar they are with that background flavor, that same kind of sweetness, a little bit of the fruity sweetness that you were mentioning. I'm really surprised that one at 30% beer and one at 15% water is still so similar.
Well, the gravities are almost the same.
And they're almost the same, yeah.
But to me, side by side, they're totally different.
Yeah, me
beers.
too.
To me,
I get a lot less perceived sweetness out of the water diluted one.
Yeah, there's a huge mouthfeel difference.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah. I think the beer diluted one is a lot more successful at tasting like the original 1023 beer. But kind of like Nicole said, and I think Justin said also, that the water diluted beer is more interesting to me and more drinkable to me. So I'd prefer that one.
Yeah.
But if your goal is, I like this beer, but I need to get it drier, then dilute with another beer might be a better approach than just water.
Sure.
Or do both. There's such different beers. I couldn't. The original one, it's a nice beer. I just couldn't drink a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got a lot of it. And the diluted one with water, I just think it tastes like a Schwartz beer on steroids. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a lot drier. The roastiness just pops out of it. It's a nice beer. And then you get to the other one, and it brings back all the chewiness, the mouthfeel that the original one had. Yeah, but it's not as cloyingly sweet.
Something else that's really interesting to me about this is that both the water diluted and the beer diluted have this like prominent malt flavor that I think is what you intended and what you wanted out of the first one. And you can really see like a brewer like Doc, who's really mastered the basics of fermentation. When something goes slightly awry, like he's managed to fix it. And both of these fixed, in quote, air quotes, beers have a quality that's shared of this kind of like rich, graham crackery, like chocolate graham cracker kind of malt flavor. And you can see like this is what the brewer was intending. This is the design of the beer. And in beer number one, it just got a little off kilter and other flavors are distracting, but he got it on course on both of the beers, or both of the rescue beers. Both of them are pretty different, but they both have that flavor, and you can see like that was the design, that was a recipe that he was going for, was to get that chocolate graham cracker flavor.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
It's a talented brewer, and really knowing what you're going for.
And I didn't throw away any beer.
You didn't throw away any beer.
So the point is,
you actually ended up with more beer at the end than what you intended.
The takeaway from that isn't you need to be a great brewer like Doc and brew all the time until you get to that point. The point is you need to know what you want your beer to taste like, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like if you don't know what your finished beer, what you want it to taste like, what you're going for, what that specific flavor you want is, you're not going to know if your beer is off or not, and you're not going to know how to fix it. Right. You have to have a clear idea, like, I want my beer to taste like this. This is something I've had before. How can I get there? And chase that. Brew the same beer 80 times until you get there, and that's how you become a better brewer.
Can't wait till I feel that way. Until I know what I want.
80 times.
Another 10 years, and you'll be a tenth of the way there.
Yeah. And just as a related note here, and some of you are going to, this is obvious to some of you, Doc and I did this same experiment very easily with the water dilution. Doc brought in a bottle of just the beer that didn't finish out and poured me a same glass that we're using here in the studio. And then we took a bottle of water and we added water to it ourselves to get the... So you can experiment it, by the way, before you go through the whole process just by adding a little water. Now, of course, the water wasn't carbonated.
Yeah, it wasn't carbonated.
It flattened the beer a little bit. But what Nicole's talking about, knowing what we hoped the beer would taste like, we did the same thing by just adding a little water to the beer that we had already brewed and tasting it in a glass.
It was like a wine that opened up, or it
worked really well. It was a nice way to just check it out. Of course, now tasting the other two finished products was even better. But
Nicole has a big point of when I finish the beer out, and that's when I get disappointed, is when it doesn't come out what I was shooting for.
Yeah,
and it's just not bad, but it's just not. My numbers were there. Everything was on, but I wanted more roastiness. I wanted more this in it, and that's when what am I going to do?
Brew another beer.
It's.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and it helps you pick which method that you would choose, whether you wanted to add water or brew another beer and dilute it, because if your goal is to have a really nice, dry, kind of more crisp, slightly roasty beer, you would add water. Or if mouthfeel was more important to you and you wanted a big, thick, chewy beer, then you'd want to add the beer to it.
Yep.
And so that's, like, to Nicole's point,
and
you have to know what you want, then that determines which method you would use.
So this basically diluted them down, which is what I was going to do, to the same OG.
Yeah.
And two totally different things come out of it.
It makes me wonder if that Star Sand beer I brewed a long time ago would actually have been okay.
You still have some in the cellar?
It just makes me wonder if I threw it away too soon. I could have tested it again.
It's food grade.
Yeah. It's very sanitary beer.
Well, Doc, thank you for screwing up a beer finally,
Sure, no
and then going through the process of teaching us how to do something with it. What a great segment! I really enjoyed it, and I think that people learned a little something out of it. So,
as long as you learned something,
I think I did.
He won't apply it to anything. But.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Mike from Society, the poor bastard, is brewing with me on this Quaff Brewing Network collaboration. I don't know what he's thinking, but Mike, listen to this program as well as some of the others and realize what you're getting yourself into.
He's going to do a really good job of milling your malt, though.
Well, he wrote our recipe. You guys want to hear our recipe?
Yeah. Sure.
No.
I'll do that before the break here.
I mean, yes, and.
So Mike and I decided to do a Nutter's Brown Ale. Nutter's Nut Brown.
That's disgusting.
Ale. All right. So we're doing Nutter's Nut Brown.
Are you going to wear Nutters while you're brewing it on Saturday?
What happens with Nutters when you turn around?
It could be a little salty.
Now,
Turtles, Nutters.
Mike wrote the recipe, and then he ran the recipe by the brewer Travis at Society, too. Travis' response apparently was, let's see, I ran it by Travis. He said, that should be sufficiently brown, and then walked away. So that was our input.
That's a lot from him.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
I fear for you.
Did you know Travis?
You're right on.
To me, that's a seal of approval from Travis.
Like
From a cop? Yeah, fuck yeah.
Did you use crystal malt? Because Travis is against using crystal malt.
All right, well, here's what we got. Oh, yeah, we did. Shit. All right.
That's why you got the crit answer.
Right, and Tasty, I would like you to pay attention because I'm very interested in your input here. We're doing a Nutter's Brown. 9 pounds of 2-row, 1 pound of Crystal 60, half a pound of Crystal 20.
How big is the batch? I'm sorry.
We're going to be doing 10 gallons. Okay. Yeah. Well,
just read percentage-wise.
Yeah, that's better.
He gave me pounds.
Okay, then just read pounds. These pounds.
Half pound of what? C20?
Half pound C20. 1 pound of C60. Half a pound of C20. Right. Half a pound of Carapils. Half a pound of flaked oats.
I'm with that.
A third a pound of chocolate. An eighth of a pound of black patent.
Wow.
What's the starting
gravity?
gravity?
Sufficiently brown.
That's our malt bill.
That is sufficiently brown.
Okay.
He didn't give me any of those numbers yet. He was just throwing the recipe at me like, hey, what do you think? We haven't finalized it. So I'm doing it with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, whatever.
So is this American or English?
Yeah.
It's a Nutter's Brown.
What's the hop profile? Let me get there.
All right. So now we're going to do a half ounce of EKG. Mostly EKG is what we're doing here. At 60, an ounce at 30, an ounce of Willamette at 5. I'm a fan of Willamette. I really like that, huh? And then 1 1/4 ounce EKG, back to EKG at Flame Out. He's got us
there.
Yeah, it's a little bit, isn't it? Yeah.
He's got us mashing at 154 degrees.
Okay.
And we're going to use good old Cal Ale, I think. Can't go wrong with some Cal Ale. And,
so he's not going to do the English yeast.
No.
That should be good.
Which I'm a fan of. I don't want to use English yeast either.
How many ounces on the bittering edition?
Half or something.
Half.
Oh, okay. It sounds like it's going to be a kind of low gravity beer, only being 14 pounds for a 10-gallon batch.
Yeah, but it's going to finish high at 154 and.
Yeah,
got a lot of
Sounds
crystal
nice.
in it.
I'm
Got a lot of
excited about
crystals.
it.
Yeah.
Does it? Or are you being sarcastic?
Hopefully you won't fuck it up too much, Justin.
Right.
Does it sound nice before I fuck it up?
Right.
Well,
It does.
if it tastes,
Okay, good.
Wait, so Mike came up with the
shitty,
recipe.
they're just going to believe it on you anyway.
Oh, that's
So what
fine.
the hell?
There's a severe lack of brown ales in the Bay Area. You know?
I agree.
You go other
one's
places.
getting out of town.
You go to Colorado, you get that like Bull and Bush brown. Like that's some good stuff. We don't have anything like that out here. Like the closest to get is Evil Twin. You know.
Yeah.
Also, a severe lack of nutters in the Bay Area.
I agree with
We also
all
don't-
of these statements.
We lack nutters. Yeah.
Because what we didn't talk much about it. Mike and I, we think together on a different level. You know, we don't have to.
Yeah, you guys don't even have to talk. You just
No,
you just
I
put your
said-
fingers up to each other's lips and go shh.
Just stay right there. I said Nutter's Brown Ale. He said yes and sent me a recipe. And I think he knew that I don't want to, I want sort of a hybrid between an English brown and a Janet's brown, right? I don't want an overly hoppy brown ale, nor do I want it too mild like an English brown ale. I want something like right in the middle.
JPA?
Yeah.
No, not at all. Shit, I love JBA. But for my beer, I wanted it right down the, something like that. And I think Mike...
Right down the where?
He took it.
Right down the middle of the nuts.
He knew.
Right.
Right down the nuts.
He wants his nuts totally
I don't know.
satisfying.
Why is he
Yet
using this
nonsense.
black patent? I don't understand.
Yeah, the
what
black patent's the only thing that kind of threw me off. But it's only just a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe crank it down a little more.
I thought maybe we would just sprinkle the black patent on the top
Maybe you just
when we
throw it
sparge.
in the air
Yeah.
before you start.
Then it'll be sufficiently brown
It
and
should
not
be,
sufficiently black patented.
enough color. But a malt that I would like to use if I was making this beer would be a brown malt.
Yeah.
Brown malt. Like
Just plain old
take
brown
a
malt.
pound-
It's a base malt.
It's a base malt. But take a pound out of the base,
Yeah.
like the 9, instead of 9, make it
You
8.
get a lot of
8 pound of churro and
Pound
then
of brown
a
malt.
brown malt.
Yeah.
And that's a regular sort of a.
Yeah.
Well, a
They used to
new
use it in brown
old,
porters.
It's like a new old malt.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a new old malt. They use it mostly in brown porters. They use a good amount of
Then I get rid of the black
that.
patent.
It's very flavorful, though.
Yeah.
So be careful.
You gotta be careful with that. And
I'm gonna make a
He's
note.
going to have a lot of flavors in there.
I mean,
In
it's
Evil
very,
Twin,
it's like
we use
very,
roast
very
barley
new old.
and dehusked carafa.
What about instead of the crystal? Could you use brown instead of the crystal?
Mm.
It's not a crystal character.
Because you're not going to get the sweetness. You're not going to get that caramel.
So you guys like the two different types of crystal and the amount that we're using?
It's more like a slightly
Who
more
said,
roasty.
I didn't even mention anything about that.
I'd probably use.
Oh yeah,
40.
there's
Yeah, I know.
How would you describe
Well,
brown
there's
malt?
so
It was
little
like,
of it that I don't think it'll matter.
You're fine.
Maybe-
I mean, it's a pound
Whole pound
of
is
60 and a half a pound
That's
of
what I'm talking about.
of
There's
20.
so little of it in there percentage-wise, I'm not sure it's going to make a big difference.
To
Okay.
me, brown malt is like a really dark brown bread crust. Like
Yeah.
just the outer part of the crust when it's a very dark.
I like
but
that.
it's still, I mean,
Oh,
it's
you
still
mean
a base
the
malt.
stuff you scrape off?
I was just saying the flavor. Right, the stuff you scrape off, that's brown malt.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
scrape it
Flavor
off.
to
I
me.
eat it.
But
course you
would
do.
like
you
it.
describe it as like a deeper Maris Otter, like more roasted? I mean, because you can still, I mean, it still provides a lot of
Yeah.
fermentables. It's not like crystal malt.
Yeah, it's got fermented. It's a base malt.
It's a base
But
malt.
it's not
for
like
sure.
Munich malt. It's like
No, it's not
English
like Munich.
It's like the English version of Munich malt. It's like it doesn't have any of that peanut buttery stuff.
Yeah.
It's more like
So let me get this straight, because I have to go get the ingredients, which is where I usually start screw things up. If I go to More Beer,
They have it.
I got this malt.
it's
Mike.
just called brown malt.
Brown malt.
Yep, they have it there. I saw it.
Oh, well, that's easy.
Yesterday.
But-
I've used it.
See,
They
everybody
have
always
it.
tells me that, and then I go there and I go, "Do you have any brown malt?"
Never
And they
heard
go,
of it.
"We don't know what you're talking about."
But here's
Do
the
what
other
I
thing.
do,
But-
and you
but
look
I feel like you guys are fucking with me.
look
I
on the
found it,
website.
Anybody else should be able to find it.
Just look on the
Okay, so you
website
can see
first.
it.
Right, yeah.
You're making an
Before you go
IPA.
there.
Use some IPA malt.
Yeah, guys, do you have any IPA malt?
Never heard of it.
Oh, you should totally do that. I dare you. I'm so dare you to do that.
More beer would
should make
expect it of me. I'd have to go to a news store to make it
They're
funny,
gonna
because
laugh
more
at
beer
you,
would be
'cause
like,
they only have
Justin's
double IPA
send
malt.
somebody else in. Yeah, that's what they'd say to me, like, "Do you want the younger malt? We have younger malt." That's what you're looking for.
You got to wait in line for it, though.
All right, well, I've made a note to write back to Mike that maybe we would replace 1 pound of churro with a pound of brown malt.
Yeah.
And then are you saying that maybe that would eliminate our black patent?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I
I'd
wouldn't
drop
use
the
the
black
black
patent.
patent, no.
I don't want to tell him what to do. I'm a diplomat. I'm just going to suggest.
Just blame it on
The
us.
black
Maybe
patent seems like a little overkill for the rest of the recipe.
Yeah. I think it'll overpower it.
Why even use EKG if you're going to put black patent on there? Like,
Yeah, Justin,
Bowl it over.
pull your diplomat up. Make him think it was his idea. That's what you do, right?
right, yeah. Well, he's probably listening, so it's not going to work.
Oh, yeah, Mike, this is your idea.
Yeah.
So now you
I'm more of a
do-
hypnotist than a diplomat.
Now you have to do
Mike,
a real
you're
diplomatic
going to
move.
get rid of black patent.
I don't want to get you nuts in a bind, but can I make these suggestions?
Yeah.
He could use, was that a third? How much chocolate? A third a pound?
Chocolate is a third, yeah.
That's a lot, too.
A third of what?
Well, no, I'm
A third of a pound.
Nah, not for
A third of a
chocolate.
pound is not sorry.
Yeah.
Chocolate's pretty forgiving.
Half pound of chocolate.
Or even some
Half
pale
pound?
chocolate.
Instead of a third.
Yeah.
Pale chocolate might be nice.
Pale, it's fairly forgiving. It's not like you're putting in uber roasty stuff.
So, Doc, I'm probably going to have you help
Such
me
good.
put this into Beersmith because
You need help putting things into Beersmith?
Yeah.
You're not really helping your,
I'm not
your
looking
guys
to.
right now.
I'm honest about
Like,
it. Well,
you
'cause
know,
I-
okay, first, Beersmith is very simple to use. Now we can do it, and you're
It
a
is.
sponsor, and it's easy to use, and only Justin is really the only person.
Well,
who needs
because he
help.
never uses it because he never
Actually,
brews.
no, you're 100% about all of this, Nicole. You could. It is easy to use. However, you need to dial your system into it, just like everything else.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I
that
do.
because, like these guys are talking about, we could be dealing with percentages here rather than just pound and everything else. But because I haven't dialed my system into it, I screw it up every time.
It's like the beauty and the difficulty of that software.
Yes. If I were to just once and for all dial my system into Beersmith, then yes, anybody could throw me a recipe and I could punch in. That is the beauty of Beersmith. But I don't want to screw up poor Mike's recipe, Doc, is what I'm getting at. So maybe you can help me.
we already did.
Maybe you can help me look at my my beautiful More Beer 1550. I already do have a profile for it in here.
Okay.
We can just take a look at it, maybe make a tweak or two, put this recipe in, because I got to go buy all these ingredients this week.
A big question is are you going to mill it at More Beer?
Yeah. I always do the milling right there.
Because More Beer's mill, JP used my mill one time, and
Yeah.
it messed with his numbers because mine's set a bit tighter
Right.
than More Beer's. So just take that into account also.
I will,
That's a setting
except
in Beersmith.
I always use more beer. I am far too lazy to do my own milling elsewhere because it requires
That's silly.
I did a hand crank once.
Oh, wow.
It's the whole.
Whoa,
I put a drill
really?
on it.
I just hooked my drill up and
that
let
was
it
no
do
good
its thing.
either. Just at more beer, you
gotta mill it,
dump it all
right
into the
before.
hopper and you flip a switch and you pull a lever and it's done. It's
And then you-
brilliant.
And then it just oxidizes until you brew.
Nonsense! It comes out. It's fine as long as you do it too, don't you?
Of course I do.
Because you know you're lazy, and then you're like, oh, I'm actually not going to brew today, and then your milled grain sits there for like a week and a half.
Okay, that has happened before.
And then you're
However,
like, why did my beer turn out?
Did
That's
you write
true.
the book on oxygen, Nicole? I don't think so.
That's right. And in fact, while I will admit to that happening, I am far more apt to throw it away and go buy new malt again. I'm that guy.
That's smart.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, I screwed this up.
Depends
take the
on
hit,
where you keep
and-
it.
Yeah.
You want to mill,
Well, the rats
mill
liked
your
where I
grain to
kept
as
it.
soon as when you're mashing as possible.
I do it pretty close, but if
Kind of like making.
Well, it's happening this weekend. I can't back out of this one. All right? I'm buying the shit on Wednesday and I'm brewing on Saturday.
you're fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Justin's going to be there. He's going to have a pot with some, like, you know.
If you think you're going to screw that up, just have one of them mill it for you.
Which I probably...
I've done that many
I'm not even
times.
going to measure it out. I'm going to call David Wonder at More Beer. I'm going to send him this thing. I'm going to be like, David, help a brother out,
Yes,
will you?
why do when you can delegate?
I know. That's right.
And
That's
it'll-
my...
and it'll get done 3
Have
days
you seen my
ahead of time.
T-shirt, Moskowitz? Why do when you can delegate? All right. Anyhow. All right. We're going to take a break. Doc, thank you for training us out to a few ways to fix a beer. When we come back, we're going to talk to Adam Mills. We're bringing back one of my favorite segments called Happy Hour, which is actually about brewers' screw-ups. Adam Mills from Crankers when we return. Hang in there. It's The Session.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate. Or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and the gadget guy Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
Say hello to my little friend.
You've heard about White Labs Pure Pitch yeast. Pure Pitch is yeast grown right in its final packaging. That means yeast that has never been exposed to the environment. And White Labs Pure Pitch yeast for homebrewers is now available to everyone at homebrew retailers nationwide. Easy to use, perfectly sized, and ready to pitch. White Labs yeast packaged using their FlexCell process ensures the purest yeast on the market. Visit whitelabs.com to learn more about Pure Pitch, FlexCell technology, and how it's created. Then visit a homebrew retailer near you for your own perfectly sized package of Pure Pitch yeast. And you can say hello to your own little friend. www.whitelabs.com. When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious. Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star San, SanaClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Brewcasters are back.
It ain't 401 beer.
Whatever.
Thank you for sticking with us. Hey, don't forget to check out our wonderful sponsor, Beersmith, home brewing software. You can go to beersmith.com right now and you can get your free 21-day trial of the brewing software. A lot of home brewers use it. It's the best software out there. It's the most up-to-date and kept up-to-date. Works on both PC and Mac. But as always, you don't have to take my word for it because you get a free 21-day trial. Just go over to beersmith.com. You can click the big red button that says Download Beersmith for free. John, did you use Beersmith when you were a home brewer?
No, I actually started using it when I opened the Pro Brewery to log all my recipes.
Oh, yeah,
but
nice.
I scale from my head now.
Okay. It's a very robust piece of software, so scaling of any kind. You can do water treatment of any kind. I mean, you name it, it can do it, and probably a bunch of things that you can't name. So go check it out over at beersmith.com. All right, so we're learning more about Free Will Brewing Company all the time, and in our glass right now is a lambic of yours, right?
Correct. Peach
lambic. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie, I tried it at the break, and it's fucking fantastic.
We only have this much, only a little bit.
That's right,
yeah, there's no more.
What, am I at a beer festival?
See, usually you can just yell at Scott about that, but now you're actually yelling at John, like, because he hand-carried us this much.
Yes.
What the fuck, John?
This is all you brought us?
You flew out from Pennsylvania.
Yeah. No, I know exactly who I'm yelling at all the time.
Right. All right, this beer is wonderfully sour.
Fabulous.
Which is what I really like. I want it to make me pucker. And
it's not just tart, where some people go, oh, try the sour beer, and it's just tart with a little tang, maybe?
Sour soup.
This is sour.
That's what I describe those beers like.
Oh, this smells and tastes like a beer that had a great pellicle. Did it get the beer gets sick?
It does, yeah. I take pictures of it pretty often when I go to taste them. Yeah.
Really Barney. Nice.
You ever break it, the pellicle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reforms.
Yeah. How long?
It depends. It could be anywhere from a couple weeks to like 6 months.
So you don't worry about breaking it at all? I know that's a thing for a lot of people.
No, not at all. This culture, you can beat the crap out of it. It was originally actually a homebrewer strain, or a homebrewer's culture, 7 or 8 years ago now. And at that time, it was the 4 primary Brett strains that were available. And that's what it started as. And he used it and kept using it and used it in New Oak and made a really lovely blonde sour beer.
Okay.
And then at some point, it had picked up Pediococcus and Lactobacillus. And then it made its way to another pro brewery that actually didn't get it to work. And at the time, I was looking for something to play with and asked this gentleman who was running the brewery at the time, I was like, hey, you got anything I play with? And he gave me this culture and didn't tell me he didn't get it to work. But I just winged it and got a batch going, and it liked what I was doing.
Okay.
And we've really kept running with it, and it has become our house culture for a large portion of our beers, because right now we do mostly the lambic style.
Okay.
But it's not a true lambic because it is not used with spontaneous fermentation.
I see.
Which we are going to be pulling the lambic name from the back of the name of the beer at some point soon.
You will?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how are you going to substitute? How are you going to describe it as?
It's just called a peach
American
sour.
sour?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. I have too much respect for the people I met in Belgium that I think it's time
I get the gist of that. Yeah.
to back away. I mean, I've met Jean and Armand and Frank.
They make a very polite yet strong case, and I don't mean that they're really trying to say, hey, don't do this. They actually make a legitimate case for others not calling their beers lambic, right?
Yep,
I
correct.
imagine that was your experience. They weren't saying you have to stop.
I didn't know until I was there.
Yeah. They make a pretty strong case. It's this style by definition.
Correct.
So
it is regional. So we're going to do like lambic inspired ales in the bottom part of the
Nice.
bottle, and we'll just pull away from
lambic
it.
style.
Yeah. And it really doesn't matter because it matters what's in the bottle, not the name of the beer or the label or anything
That's
else.
right. And it's certainly, as a fan of lambic and sour beer, it doesn't matter to me either. I just want to know, if you tell me that that's what it's inspired by or lambic like, then I know what you're going for, and that's all I need.
You know what you're pretty much going to get.
Yeah, that's what I need to know. This strain is great.
And so it's just this strain through primary? Like you just pitch this Brett blend with lacto and pedio?
Yep. We just move it around. We don't feed it. We don't give it nutrients. We don't give it air other than the ingress through the tanks.
So good.
And we just move it around, and it likes our basement.
Yeah?
A lot.
Nice.
Is this beer blended?
We always blend them. Yeah, we have multiple tanks, and we always taste things. We're starting to learn that we need to start mapping the basement. Once we get into a permanent layout, we're going to map both elevation of the barrels and tanks, and positioning in the brewery is going to change.
But varietals in there.
Oh yeah, you get certain tanks will get different flavor profiles versus the tank under it, or even one that's 10 feet away. I mean, it's crazy.
Now, are you talking about the vessel themselves?
The vessel itself
Yeah.
will give more inherent notes of certain flavors from the same culture, even with the same beer in it.
And that will continue to repeat as you put different beer in it, is what you're
Theoretically.
saying. Okay,
But
yeah.
sour beer
it can change,
is,
of course.
it does its own thing.
If you keep track, you can see if it does change.
Yeah. We're not going to really invest a lot of time until we get a permanent layout down there, because right now we're still doing all of our production in the same facility.
Yeah,
Once
okay.
we get the clean beer out of there and we become more stable in temperature and climate and activity down there, then we can really start to hone in where things go, and everything will stay the same.
Okay.
Ish.
Are you doing primary in a full batch size fermenter, or
Yes.
are you doing it in the barrels?
We're doing both. We use both oak, and we also use 10-barrel IBC tanks, cidery totes. They work really, really well. They have very similar oxygen ingress as a barrel.
Okay.
So they work awesome. Plus, you can see the fruit in them.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Which I do like.
Is it puree?
No, we get fresh fruit, or we get IQF fruit from a supplier that gets all their fruit sourced from within a 200-mile radius.
Nice.
I don't get a lot of peach character in this beer. Are you happy with the peach level?
I'm never happy. I would always want a little more.
It's on the nose. It's very peachy, but yeah, not as much in the flavor.
It's a light, like a slightly underripe peach blended with the lambic type culture is what I really like about it. I mean, I always want more, and we're going to start doing double fruit for a different beer.
I get the peach tannins, which are nice.
Mm-hmm. If it were less sour, it would be plenty peachy. It's just that it's competing a little bit.
Yep.
Or is it competing?
Right?
Yes. Thanks, John.
Yeah. Get that laugh track ready. Will you?
Now, first of all, if you put a picture of this beer in front of me, I would drink every drop of it. I would not share it either.
How could you drink a picture of it?
It's wonderful. I would just... Yes. What are you, JP now, Beardy?
Well, I thought that's what we were doing now.
But second of all...
You are.
Right.
You mentioned temperature in the basement because you're still brewing there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a problem where this beer is aging?
Well, it's more like I can't map where the locations are because right now we're brewing there's a lot of activity down there. There's a lot more heat. Once we get out of there and do most of our primary our primary clean beer brewing upstairs, downstairs will become a little cooler.
Okay, sure.
So
Which you'd prefer?
Well, I prefer that for aging.
Yeah.
For the primary, I definitely want to make sure I keep the temperature up. So we're going to have one room that's got some more heat in it, and then the other side of the basement is going to remain in the 50s and lower 60s all year round.
And what would the fermentation temperature ideally be?
It gets up into the 70s and 80s.
And that's where you'd like it?
At least get through the primary, and then once it's done and I can put it wherever I want, I can just leave it there.
Yeah, okay.
Until it's mature, and then I can put the fruit in there and wait some more.
And how old is the oldest beer blended into this one?
That one's probably a little over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
As we increase production, we can start setting stuff down and hiding it and keeping it out of my reach so I don't touch it and don't mess with it and don't use it.
Yeah.
That way, at the end of 2 years, there's more of it left to sell.
Yes.
So Scott brought up the pellicle, and you mentioned you don't mind breaking it on this one. Do you have any advice for us homebrewers or pro brewers about keeping sour beer stable and not getting oxidized and things that might go wrong while it's sitting for 2 years?
Glass, ventilating silicone bungs. They're awesome.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about filling the airlock.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Fill it to the top.
That's just that simple bung that it's a one-way valve,
like a little
basically.
flap,
Yeah, a little flappy flapper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Silicone chumpies.
Instead of the air, because the airlocks go dry all the time.
You always forget to fill airlocks.
Okay.
That's the way it is.
All right. That's a good tip.
Yep.
And that's your only tip. That's your
Pretty much.
That's your key to great stuff. Not that there's anything wrong. Just
different cultures are going to respond differently. Some of them are going to like more air versus other ones you're not going to want a lot of air. It depends on what you have, and you have to learn that about your culture.
Yeah. And you said this culture goes
Likes
into
a lot of
pretty
air.
much. Oh, it does. So that's even easier
Yep.
for you, really.
It likes a lot of air. It likes a lot of oxygen ingress.
And goes into almost every sour beer you make.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So all the lambic base, and we have another one that's not out yet that we use. And also the Blood and Guts, which is still in the cooler. That's a dark beer. But we have tons of other oak vessels with straight sack fermentation, and then we pushed it onto like Lambicus or Brux with a Trois strain.
Okay.
Things like that. And we're still maturing those to see where they go.
Got it.
Do you want to do the lambic next, or the creek rather, or the white?
The creek would be good because you can really see how the two beers really differ using the same base beer.
I'm sorry if you already answered this, but does the fruit go right into primary with this, or do you add it later?
We add it later once the culture is done doing almost anything. The pellicle's formed, and it's reached a mature point where the PDO has really dropped off a bit, and then we'll plop the fruit back in there again.
Got it.
And then it'll re-ferment on that for an undetermined amount of time.
Do they go kind of crazy then? Is that when you see the foam going out of it? No.
Yeah, this thing's a slow culture no matter what. I mean, it's still done and ready for stability at about 6 months, but it never gets like a Kreuzen per se.
Okay. It must be fun to taste it over the different periods. To taste it at 6 months, to taste it at a year, and just...
The flavors are really interesting, and we're definitely not shy about the flavors we get. I mean, we have some that say Chinese food on them.
Oh, really? You just write it right there. So
Yep.
Okay. Well, you might as well be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Anything you can think of, if that's what's coming to your head, just do it.
Do you have a percentage or a guess of how many barrels you have to throw out in those batches?
So far, we're at 0.
Is that right?
We had one that we tasted tasted a few months ago that was definitely, at the time, seeming like it was gone the wrong way, but it's up for being retasted at this point.
Okay.
It was too young to really make that determination just yet.
Okay.
But some things are definitely weird during a certain point, and you got to just be patient.
Wait it out, yeah.
If you have the space to devote to the sours, just be patient.
Now, if you end up having one barrel, say it's been the 2 years, and you're going through, you're ready to blend, and one just, the beer in it doesn't taste right, will you throw away the whole barrel?
Yeah, you can't. Sour cultures will, basically make their way into the wood permanently.
Okay. Yeah.
The breath strains will eat cellulose, which is pretty endearing in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not nasty.
They just go for everything.
Yeah, you could drop your shoes in there; it wouldn't really matter.
I'd like to see that experiment.
Yeah, that doesn't taste good. I'm sure.
No, I don't want to taste it. I just want to see what the shoes look like afterward. How much do they really eat? Okay, so you just throw away the whole.
Yeah,
barrel.
the whole thing will go. The barrel, we'll make furniture out of it or whatever.
Yeah,
or firewood. Who cares?
Yeah, its service is up.
Bye bye.
Okay.
What are you guys using for a malt beer? Are you using some complex, like with some wheat and some?
There is torrefied wheat and pilsner. That is it.
That's
a
it?
little
Okay.
bit of rice hulls because there's a pretty high torrefied wheat percentage. We kept it really simple. I tried to imagine what a modern traditional recipe would look like instead of using all that raw stuff and the turbid mash. I mean, at one point I had to do turbid, and I stopped doing that. It didn't really change anything in my protocols.
Okay.
So
you went and brewed with some Belgian brewers, right?
I brewed with Hof 10 Dormal. Yep.
Okay. And so tell us a little bit about that, because I know you're doing a fundraiser. That's
Friday.
the brewery they had a fire.
They did on January 5th, I believe, was the day.
Oh, I heard about this.
We were not even sure if we were going to be able to brew there, but they were persistent, and we actually did. We were the first actual brew since the fire, so there were some glitches with the electrical and the boiler, and it was fun.
Kind of shows their dedication.
Yeah.
They wanted to make that happen.
Great, wonderful people, wonderful family. I mean, I wish they were closer.
Yeah.
I get to see Jeff again and his girlfriend at least at the end of the month. But the family, the father Andre and the brother Dries, they're great people.
What caused the fire? Do you know?
It was, I think, a backed up chimney. They had a furnace going to keep the main portion of the barn going, and it was clogged or it wasn't cleaned properly. Something happened.
Yeah.
And it was basically a chimney fire, and being a really old barn, it just went.
Did they lose the whole brewery?
They lost everything but the actual brewery end, which was very lucky. So the brewing system was still intact.
Okay.
The boiler was out back in a shed. And the fermenters, but the cooling tanks for water and glycol were lost. Well, the glycol themselves were not lost, but the water was lost. Those tanks were lost. The glycol chiller was lost. The boiler was lost. The inline pasteurizer was lost. All their stores were lost. All their specialty grains were lost, which is really...
That's a lot of money.
Especially since they grow all their stuff on site.
Okay.
They send all their malt up to Dingemans, gets malted, and gets sent back down.
Really?
Oh, wow.
That's irreplaceable, then.
Yeah, so they have to grow it again.
Yeah,
so.
really. Wow.
Wow. Yep. We don't have to buy it again. We have to grow it again.
You can just order more.
Wow.
Yeah, they grow. It's a true farmhouse brewery. It's pretty cool.
So let our listeners know about the fundraiser then, because there's a way we can help, right?
Yeah, there's a GoFundMe site. Just if you want to just Google Hof 10 Dormal Fire, it's like the third hit.
Okay.
And you can actually contribute directly there. We're actually doing the fundraiser also at our place on Friday. We're donating pretty much almost all of our proceeds for the evening. We have food being donated. We have beer I'm humping back from here. I'm going to raffle off Chinese auction, everything that's going. We have an apparel guy who's going to donate some of his proceeds as well.
You're raffling off Chinese people?
Chinese people, yes.
That seems a little racially insensitive.
Well, they are the number one immigrant to the U.S. over Mexican people, so there's enough to go around.
There's enough to go around.
I don't think it's racist if it's for a good cause.
No,
for charity, everything's fine.
I feel like it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like a bachelor auction.
If you want more information about it, you can go to freewillbrewing.com right now, and one of the first things you'll see on the page is the Hof 10 Dormal fundraiser. You see it right there. You can click on it, get more information, and it'll also tell you how to spell Hof 10 Dormal if you want to Google it and find the GoFundMe campaign so that you can help help them build the farmhouse back up, I guess.
Yeah, it works very much like the U.S. there, where it takes time. They send in insurance agents and adjusters, and they try and clean things up, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And they throw things away, and then you have to wait for a check, and it's not for the actual end money that you would get. It's for what it costs to produce it, which, as you know, in the brewing industry isn't very much.
Sure.
So you get nothing.
Plus all the downtime in the meantime,
Yep.
and not selling beer. Okay.
They are functioning now, and they did do a blend of a lot of the remnants of batches in bottles and in kegs and things like that, and blended a beer called Inferno to help gain some traction again.
Yeah.
So
did any have a smoky flavor?
I don't know. I haven't had
a Rauch lambic.
They might as well do it.
It would be interesting if it did.
Yeah, they're really, really good people.
Well, if you're in the area, if you're in Pennsylvania, go to Free Will Brewing Company. It's this Friday. Is that
Yes.
what it is? Yeah, this Friday,
8 to 9,
and
yep.
you can go support that way. So, did you learn a lot about brewing lambic beer by going there and actually brewing with the Belgians, or did you?
Well, we made a regular beer. We made
okay.
farmhouse dark saison. My contribution to that was Brief's Midnight Wheat, and I wrote a lot of the recipe myself.
Okay.
And I had that shipped in from the UK to get to his place, and then while we were there, we did go to Cantillon and Dreifonteinen and Boone, and I did that. That was sitting there and listening to those guys is really awe inspiring.
Yeah.
Truly, and now I get it.
Sure. And not just how much they know about it, but how passionate those guys are about it too, right? I mean, they speak about, after all these years, they speak about it like it's the best thing on
It's
earth.
love. It really
which
is.
I agree with.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's brewed with love.
It's with love. Every beer is brewed
balance,
with love.
harmony,
The beer is brewed with love.
Especially fufun.
Yes,
that's right. Yes, that it is. I got some of that.
So tell us about the beer that's in our glass here. It's your Creek?
This is the Creek. This is the same base culture as the peach we had before, except with Montmorency sour cherries.
So this is much less assertively tart, isn't it? So
I think
it
so.
almost feel like we should have started with this one. Did you tell us to do it the other way for a reason?
I like the peach more than the Creek myself, and I think it's my personal favorite of the lambics we do, especially this year's batch.
Now, wait, is this the same base beer or the same culture? It's the same base beer.
Same base beer.
It is less,
much less
tart
definitely.
and sour.
Especially tasting it right against the peach back to back. I think if you just open the Creek, you'd be like, oh, this is a beautiful cherry cream flavor. It's got some tartness, but not nearly as assertive.
Mm-hmm.
It's cherry pie.
Yeah, right.
To me, it's a watermelon Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, for sure.
It just makes
but
makes your
with
salivary glands just squeak. Oh, God, yeah.
Your jowls, even, right, Justin? Unless you're Asian.
Yes,
Get your jowls sweat.
But to me, there's a lot of cherry skin. There's a cherry tannin. So I like that you get the tannin structure from the fruit into your beers because a lot of places don't do that.
I would, if I had my way to change this beer, obviously more cherries, but I would like to have the pits in there. These are pitted. I wish I could get my hands on the pits.
in there.
Because that would add tannins?
Even more tannins, yeah.
Well, you can get like enological tannins that'll replicate those kind of body.
Yeah.
The body thing.
Can you buy the pits?
You can actually. They use them as pellet fuel. You can actually buy cherry pits as like wood stove pellet fuel. But this year we have a source for some local harvest cherries in July that I'm going to drive out to central Pennsylvania and get at least a ton of. And then that will be for my double cherry because I know I can get consistency with the cherries I'm using for this.
Yeah.
So for the double cherry lambic, I'm going to add twice as much fruit.
So everything else is... I'm sorry, everything else is the same except you'll just do double the fruit?
Double the fruit,
yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh, I was going to say, do you use whole fruit or do you kind of pulverize it or cut it up a little bit? Even with the
For
peaches?
all of it.
Yep. The peaches, we process them like this.
Oh, you just squeeze them? Okay.
Hand squeeze them and throw them in.
2,800 pounds with gloves.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
They were perfectly ripe. They were all fresh peaches from a local orchard this time.
I see. Nothing green.
And you're not the first one to say that there's nothing wrong with just throwing whole fruit in there because it just takes it right
and
out
we use
of
it
everything.
multiple times. We pitch on it. We'll rack off of it. The cherry, for instance, we rack off the initial fermentation of the cherries, and the culture's still in there, and the cherries are still in there in some form. They're white at this point and still mushy, but they still look like cherries, just about 40% less mass.
Okay.
And then we'll rack the wort from Blood and Guts right onto it, and it actually picks up a substantial amount of cherry that you wouldn't even think was still there.
Wow.
And that was a real eye-opener when we did that. That was a wing-it type of beer, and it came out awesome, and I was very pleased with it. So now we do that, and then we rack off the Blood and Guts off of it, and then I'll rack more base lambic wort onto it again, and then it'll re-ferment with it. At this point, there's like nothing left. There's like 10% of the mass.
Okay.
At this point, it's just food for bugs.
But it's still food.
And so I'll leave that in there, and then I'll put more cherries into it. And leaving some of the darkness from the blood and guts actually allows for more color stability in future batches of the Creek. As you can see, this is like pink, but it starts a lot brighter and drops out over time.
Okay.
With the new process we're doing, we'll actually get more color stability over the years.
And so you've never taken cherries out of this fermenter? You always just adding more?
Correct.
Nice.
They get consumed to nothing.
Wow.
That's great. You're just lazy, I think.
Yep. I'm a workaholic, lazy guy.
Why clean it when you can just leave it in there?
Leave it in there. Plus the cherry's still working.
Yep. Still contributing. And they do that over there, too. They'll use them until there's nothing left.
Okay. You taste the cherries after? Have you ever had one after this first
Have
Creek?
I pulled one out? No, actually. I should probably do that.
I'd be really curious I bet it tastes amazing.
Probably gushy.
It probably feels gross, but tastes amazing. I mean, it's got to be sour.
Yeah. It's probably going to taste like the beer that was in there.
Yeah, whatever's in there.
Yeah.
No, just make a pie out of that.
As long as it doesn't taste bad, I'm glad it's there.
Lambic mush pie.
Right.
So I know Jay from the Rare Barrel, I think he's exclusively using puree for his fruited sours. And I don't know if this is a fair generalization, but puree maybe is given a more sort of candy fruit flavor, and the whole fruit is given more tannins, and I don't know, maybe depth isn't the right word, but do you plan on using puree? And
I'm going to actually have to use puree for the raspberry this year.
Would you? Is what I said fair to say? Do you think?
Yeah, sure. If that's what your perception is, sure.
Yeah. Now, why do you think you can't get whole raspberries?
Raspberries are so in demand that most of the farmers get all their money from pick your own. So getting somebody local to not pick your own and sell them to me wholesale, it's just not going to happen.
But I think with the raspberries, you'll be fine because it's just macerated.
Yeah, it's smushed up raspberries.
Yeah, so there's nothing like a stone to pull out from it. So you're still, you'll get it.
I think with the raspberry purees, you do get plenty of tannin.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. My mind just got blown. People go pick their own fruit?
Not for
how do you think
for small
how do you think it
batches.
gets harvested? How do you think you eat it in the store?
Well, but he said pick your own. Like it's a thing where you go out and you pick your own fruit. Why would you? Who would do that?
You don't have kids.
It's like a thing. Yeah, no, it's like a thing. Like I could take Abby to like a cherry orchard and we could just go pick baskets and baskets of cherries.
Yeah, but you know that people do that for you, right?
Yes, and they sell them on the corner right by my house, and I buy them.
And what's even crazier is that usually you pay more per pound for the stuff
pick
you
your own.
pick your
Are you
own.
serious?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, at apple orchards, you'll pay more for the stuff you pick yourself than if you just bought the apples.
Because it's retail.
Wow.
Right,
Well, it's an experience.
The experience,
also,
right?
yeah.
You're buying the experience.
Yeah, it's like going to cut your own Christmas tree.
Right. Which also
And
seems
again,
ridiculous.
who does that?
Do you pay more for the cut your own tree than you do at for the Lowe's?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
You might.
That might depend on the farm.
Because you might screw it up and say you don't want to pay for it.
What a racket.
Yeah.
Or you just go to the
you have to,
national park
drag
and
it
cut
to
down
your
a tree.
car.
There you go.
I feel like our sponsors should have to make their own commercials and pay me more to do it.
Yeah.
It's the same
As a matter
thing.
of fact, can you host the show?
Yeah.
You need to offer the make your own option.
Make your own and pay me more.
My rate just doubled for hosting the shows now.
Yeah, host it your own. Pay me more. No, you have to pay me more to host your
No,
own
I
show.
don't want to. I'm doing you a favor.
Oh, I see.
Right.
All right, I'm confused.
I'm lost now.
I'm confused.
Economics, baby.
Let's try some more sour beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, John. This creek is unexplainably not as tart as the peach lambic. Can we help me with that? What do you think? Some of the fruit is actually the sweetness of the fruit is still there and it's offsetting it. I'm like,
It's actually
why am I not getting it?
less total acidity contributed from the cherries as opposed to the peaches.
Oh, I see. So the peach sugars generate some of the lambic that sour character.
The peach has more actual. If you were to take all the acid, like the citric acid,
the
there's
acid
actually
itself.
more of it in there than there is in the cherries.
All right.
Which
So-
is a huge part. Like when we're talking about the sourness, we were saying like pucker sourness, which I really love, and you're saying that's like acidity. That's what that's coming from. Okay.
So, yeah, you're saying that if you eat a peach, there's more acidity in there, but because peaches have more sugar, that tastes sweeter overall compared to a cherry, and so the fermentation of the sour beer is taking away all the sugar from either the cherry or the peach, but the peach has more acidity to begin with.
Yep.
Yeah, it brings
so
acids.
the end beer is more sour.
I understood it better when John said it.
So did I.
Just nod.
I was just making sure I got it.
Yeah.
John, I want to mention how quickly, as I was pouring this white, the next beer, how quickly all of the hosts in this room downed what was left of their glass and shoved their glass toward me eagerly. It's not a common thing.
Our body language is
And these are
saying
all
a lot here.
These are all 4.9%, all the lambic base beers are all low alcohol, very traditional, because I like to sit there and drink a bunch of it.
Yeah, that's how they're meant to be, right?
Yep.
A man after JP's own heart.
Did you feel that way before you went to Belgium?
About that, yes.
You did?
Yep.
So I did too, but I was ashamed of it because I thought it made me a lush. And then when I went to Belgium, they were like, no, we drink pints of this.
I want to drink beer. I don't want to drink a little bit of beer.
I don't want to sip it. And we talked about this before. Part of the problem here is that it's so expensive for us to purchase. So I think that's why we started sipping it, because it's a smaller bottle. But I always felt, unlike a bourbon barrel-aged something or a barley wine that is a sipping beer, I never felt like sour beer was sipping beer. You take drinks of it.
Yeah,
because
very refreshing.
It's very refreshing. Yeah. It also makes, when you have a drink, it makes you crave another one. It's so dry, and that sourness, you want to quench your thirst again. So anyway, I'm just glad to hear you say it, that's how you...
Yeah,
which is why
it's good to have the sides of your mouth touch each other. You know? Well, that's unique.
What about the heartburn? Do you have a pint and then a roll of Tums and then another pint?
I actually don't have any problems with the heartburn. Even the whole time in Belgium, everybody else was popping them, no problems. My wife had mouth ulcers like crazy. Not a problem. I don't know what. Nah.
I don't really either, unless it's all I drink for the evening. So if it were a sour festival or something,
9 of them, that'll do it.
Then, but I could have a few pints like I would a pale ale, and I don't get it either.
Okay,
but I definitely
suck.
Bevo has like a sip, and she's a mess.
I can have like a sip, and it just instantly is angry.
All right, so tell us about this sour in our glass.
This one was created by Philly beer personality, who he's the chief editor for Philly Beer Scene magazine, Matt Falco. For his award show that basically gives accolades to local beer everything. And it started with, it's the same culture as a lambics, but it's a different recipe. There's some spelt in there, things like that. And white cranberries.
Okay.
And that's why it's called white. He designed the name and the whole premise around it. And we made the beer, and we represented it to the industry, and everybody really loved it. So we made it again just for the Philadelphia area, and we're going to continue to do so on a yearly basis, although next year I'm going to do it a little differently. We took some of the first batch of this, which we did for the awards, and put it into Chardonnay French oak barrels with red cranberries for an additional year, and it's just way better, in my opinion. And people still dig this version a lot, but my personal opinion is the other version is superior.
So the other version had white and red? Or
Yep.
Okay, it did have
white, and then an additional barrel aging on red cranberries for an entire year, actually a little more than a year.
Got it.
And that's not the color, it's the variance in the fruit. That the white tastes different than the red.
Yeah, well, there's a color difference also. The white cranberries are white, but there is definitely more brightness to this one than the reds. And the red did darken it up a little bit. It gave it a little bit more of a golden hue to it, but the oak, the tannins, and the red cranberries, and all that worked in such a harmonious way that it was just a superior beer.
I can see how barrel aging and additional fruit would make this an even better beer than it, but it already is. It's tremendous.
Yeah,
it's a really well made beer.
So, as the guy who gave you this kind of strain combination cocktail of bugs come back and said, "Okay, so you're making good beer with this. Teach me how." Now that I gave it to you.
Well, it's distinctly different at this point.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely has become our own, so to speak. With I can't even say that it even has the petio and the lacto in his culture anymore. I haven't actually compared the two. I mean, I've had the beer, and it's not at all the same.
Okay.
So it's definitely its own animal, and it likes our basement.
And luckily going in the right direction.
Yeah, yep. And we haven't had any issues thus far, knock on wood, that usually in a mixed culture with bacteria, the bacteria will inherently become the superior population, and you have to knock it down. And in oak, it's a washing of some sort. But it hasn't done that in 3 years.
Okay.
At this point, it's been, and we're basically being belligerent with it, and it's still performing almost the same way across the board.
Yeah. Okay. So it's great. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Now, all these sour beers that we tried, people can buy them at the brewery, or how do people get your beer?
They are available at the brewery and throughout our distribution footprint, which is Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and within a few weeks, New York. And by the end of the summer, we'll be in D.C. and Virginia. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay.
Was it tough to get into New York?
Well, no. I mean, we had to make a conscious decision because that market is ridiculous. It's huge. And there's a competitive edge that we don't have, and there's I think an 8.5 cent per bottle tax goes right back to New York. We can't match that, but with these we can.
The sours.
Yeah. So we're going to do limited draft, and we're going to focus on the sours, and we're going to give them one type of sour at a time, and just let the beer do its thing.
Okay, yeah.
We don't need to worry about shelf stability with this beer. And it speaks for itself. I don't need to rep it. I just need to present it, and the liquid does most of the work.
Yeah.
That was our business model, was to try and make the best beer we possibly can, even though we had limited equipment, and let the beer do most of the work.
Once again, you're lazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a lazy workaholic.
Isn't that's what Denny Kahn said.
That's right, and I'm loving the model.
That'd be a good name for a beer, lazy workaholic.
Lazy workaholic, yep. I work about 80 to 90 hours a week. But yes, I like to find better ways to make the beer more efficiently.
Yeah,
as long
of
as it's
course.
going in both directions, both better and more efficiently, it's always good.
If you weren't as lazy, you might not have to work so much.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does one of these retail for?
They're between $10 and $12 a bottle.
Oh,
What?
man. You kidding me?
Yeah, I'm
Come
really
on.
screwing the market.
Buy it by the case.
Now, why are you driving the price down on this stuff?
I started making sour beer not because I just love it, because it's really freaking expensive. And everything we do is with a specific reason with these sours is to try and keep the price affordable for the end user.
Yeah.
And that's part of the choice of this bottle. Reason why we don't cork and cage, although we did switch to corking and capping.
Okay.
So you can horizontally age them, so you have a larger surface area for more accelerated
Thank you
cellaring.
for doing that.
Yes.
Because I have like a cheap wine fridge, right, which I would love to keep my sours there. And the only ones I can keep there right now are some Cantillons
Cantillon,
because
yep.
they cork and cap.
Yep.
But anybody who just caps, I'm afraid to lay it on its
You
side.
should not do so, yes.
Right? So talk to me about that, because it'll
rust.
It'll rust.
Eventually. It'll
Okay.
permeate the plastic layer, and it will rust.
Yeah.
It's weird that you don't see that more often, given that Cantillon does it, and that
pain in the ass.
a lot of people. Is that why?
That's right. In fact, I would think it's pretty expensive too. But you're saying it's rather cost efficient.
Well, with this bottle, it's actually a wine cork. So the production rate on those is through the roof. So you can actually get a wine cork, a decent, really good one for not a lot of money. It is an extra step, but it does produce a better way of aging it, and it looks cool.
Do you have to do them by hand?
Yes, we still package all the sours by hand. We have a 6-head gravity filler, and it's only once a month or once every couple weeks that we do. And we'll do like 2,000 bottles at a shot.
Wow.
And then we'll keg the rest of it, because sixtils, as you would imagine, at that price point, fly.
Okay, yeah.
So that's everybody in the brewery for one day just sitting around the
Well, we actually
distiller?
bring in a bunch. That's the only point we're bringing some friends.
Yeah.
Is for that.
Do they get paid in sour beer?
They get paid in money and sour beer.
Oh.
Yeah. We don't like free help too much.
Yeah. Because it sucks.
Well, taking advantage.
Yeah. Are you?
And you get what you pay for.
Look at you with morals.
Yes. Ethics and stuff.
Yeah.
Hang on, I got to go back and edit that out of the program.
That's Justin's comeback. Are you?
Are you really, though?
Yeah.
Hang on, let me edit it right now.
That's what you're going to do?
Sorry.
All right. What are we pouring now?
Blood and Guts. This was the Wing It beer. Again, lazy. Didn't want to take the cherries out of the tote. Let's see what happens. So we pushed some dark wort onto there, which was designed to be sour.
Okay.
No black patent in this. Black patent in sour beer usually equals a flavor similar to hot dog water.
Gross.
So no is always the answer when anybody says, let's put black patent in the sour beer.
Okay. Hot dog water. I'll remember
Midnight
that.
Wheat is the answer.
Bebo in there with her double wide fantasy is like, what's wrong with hot dog water?
Her ears perked up. I'll take some of that.
Right, yeah. I've seen her with a water bottle with hot dogs floating in it.
Sometimes I make hot dogs and then I make noodles in the hot dog water.
It's my favorite perfume. That's how I got Sam.
So you guys are extra mean tonight.
And also extra right.
Yeah.
But there is always a but. But I did work at a place called Sam's Doghouse in high school.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you did.
And we cooked hot
you're
dogs.
walking into it.
Yeah.
And we cooked them in a steamer. And when he said that, I remembered the water in the steamer.
And the smell.
You smell like wieners all the time.
So there's like this layer of slime that was on the top. It was nasty.
We call that biofilm in the brewing industry.
It was probably your job to change that water every now and then.
By the way, that's how she landed Sam. She would spray hot dog water on her every night.
Sam walked in there and be like, hey, my name's Sam. This is my place.
There is something about you,
mustard
girl.
or
I don't know what it is, but it is something.
You would be surprised how many dates I got asked out on
after leaving the Sam's hot dog.
No, while working at Sam's doghouse.
Because you can really handle them buns.
It's like a hot dog's like a dude pheromone or something. I don't know. You just smell like baseball games. I don't know what it is.
You smell like filler and nitrogen. I don't know what it is about you.
God, you're just full of preservatives or something. I don't know what it is.
Your face has this beautiful sheen.
Lips
you really know how to handle wieners.
Love it.
Want to go to the Costco food court on Friday?
It's a pheromone.
Yeah. You're like a mystery meat.
Hot dog, the new fragrance from Sam.
I want to read your ingredient list, girl.
Oh, the hot dog?
All right, so black patent equals hot dog water.
Yes.
Let's get this.
That's your tip for the day.
All right, I like it. And I think we hammered it home, so people will remember that.
I don't know. I think we could crank out a few more one-liners.
So, sorry, so what did you do to get the
Midnight
color?
Wheat from Breeze.
Okay.
Smooth darkness. I love that stuff.
Okay, got it.
Gives you the dark character, no acidity from the roasted malt.
And then the only fruit is the fruit that you poured it on top of.
Well, second use cherries, yep.
You didn't add additional fruit of that.
I get if Black Forest Cake was a sour beer, that's what I get from it.
Okay.
So there's some residual sweetness that is left behind. This one's a little over 6%.
There's a little cold pressed coffee flavor in there that I really like.
I'm even going deeper to like ashy.
In the aftertaste,
it's not my favorite because of that ashy bitterness. It's not.
I've heard people say that before.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I think it's a safe room. I think we can.
Yeah, you can, of course.
Yeah. The peach is still my favorite.
Well,
it's your favorite one, yeah.
This is like a hard thing to do. We've said it before, right? That the sort of roast and sour, as a general rule, those two flavors don't mesh.
Dark sour.
This is an example of a very well done one, but you're still trying to make something work that sort of inherently doesn't.
Yeah. And I don't mind even the ash in the aftertaste is almost like a cigar. So it's a little tobacco.
Yep.
Much more earthy. I'm adverse to roast, but this is much more of an earthy character to it.
The newest batch, this is last year. This is the first batch. The newest batch we actually put on oak for a while. And that's going to add some more complexity and some more depth to it. I think that's going to help with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not the newest batch. I still don't think is quite where I want it to be. But with such a program as this, it does take a generation to get it to where it really should be, at least. So
the second use of cherries is really nice. I think it's got a great cherry flavor.
I was really surprised at how much was contributed to this beer when I pulled it out of the tank after first checking. I was like, "What? What happened?"
Right.
Hey, Beav, is the camera on the guest? No? Yeah. Hey, John, show the label of this beer we're drinking, the Blood and Guts. It's a great label. Bright red, and it's got a chainsaw. Oh, nice. You have any trouble with the
Go a little bit
TTB
closer.
with that?
No, not at all.
Approved? No?
Nope. We have another beer called Pixie's Revenge we had problems with because it was originally called Pixie's Dust, or Pixie Dust.
Yeah.
Okay,
they had a problem with that.
Why?
Well, apparently it's a drug reference.
Oh, it is? I thought it would be you're marketing to children.
I had no idea it was a drug reference. I finally got the guy to give me a cell phone number, so I called this guy at the TTB, and he's like, well, it's a drug reference. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, sir. I'm not really up on my drug reference.
Doc, what kind of drug is Pixie Dust?
Doc is shaking his head. That is not a drug reference.
Doc doesn't know.
It's angel dust.
Oh, it is?
Angel dust, yeah. Apparently it was on a list. I was like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm not up on my drug references.
People still...
Well, neither am I.
Last time I saw Angel Dust, nobody in this room was alive.
That's what I was going to do. People still do angel dust?
No.
Maybe taste it.
They do?
Yeah.
I've heard of angel dust. I've never done it.
Yeah, I do. And all your friends?
I masturbate with it.
I've heard of it.
On Throwback Thursdays, everyone's doing it.
Everyone's doing... Hey, guys, it's angel dust night.
Yeah.
Well, you give it a new name and it becomes something cool. So you don't have to do angel dust, you're doing pixie dust.
That sounds like that one TTP guy was like, I remember pixie dust.
No,
He gave me such a hard time.
If I was going to name my beer, I would know. I remember pixie dust being some drug.
Wow.
I'm that old.
I almost thought you were going to say that he was like, well, consumers might assume it actually has pixie dust in it, so we can't.
That would be a plausible answer as well, yes. I would not have been surprised if he said that.
Yeah, you're never surprised at anything that comes back.
But Chasing the Dragon, totally approved. No problems.
Yeah, what the hell?
Not a problem at all.
Of course it is.
I was preparing to fight that and straight through.
So it just matters who the particular agent is.
And his mood, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't want you to get in trouble or anything, but I just think it's a very...
the TTB listens to this show all the time.
Yeah.
Well, doing 14 to 16,000 of them.
Exactly. Maybe they do.
They do like 14 to 16,000 labels a year, each of them. So
Right.
I'd imagine it's fatiguing.
So it's just, well, not only that, but some just go right through. You can't possibly pay attention to
like the
all
dehydrated alcohol. That got passed again, right? That went through, and then they pulled it back, and then I heard it got approved again.
Wow.
What's up with that crap?
They're just sliding it through.
Yeah.
It's kind of like getting your beer entered into GABF. You just got to know. You get the right table, it's going to go right through. You got to wait for the right perfect storm.
I love this beer. On.
Yeah, gone.
You know, I did try, I think I mentioned it, I did try to get one of the famous guys, Battle. His nickname is Battle Martin.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
he's famous.
That's the guy? I tried to get that guy on the show.
He's dry.
Now, get ready to be shocked. He didn't respond.
He didn't even respond.
Yeah, he has a cell phone.
Yeah, let's again.
Seriously?
Let's
call him
text
right now.
him.
I seriously have his
I'll
direct
send him a
line.
text. Yeah, on August 13th, 2014, I sent a very professional and nice email. And
only one?
What's his name? BattleBot?
Battle Martin.
BattleBot. Megatron.
Battle.
Wow.
He was very professionally dry and government.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stonewall Martin.
Hello, John. It's Battle. Your label has been disapproved.
That's it. Do you know how many people have gotten that call? Thousands.
Yeah. But why? It's a drug reference.
And
Thank
from
you for
now
calling.
on, none of my labels are going to get approved.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm sure he's a huge fan of it.
Now we have
fighting a
your
losing
number,
battle.
Mr. Angel Dust. So he's looking out for you. Well, they're all fantastic beers.
Yeah, man.
Your core beers that we had in the first segment were all great, too, and then the sour beers just got even better.
Thank you.
Please go check out freewillbrewing.com if you're in Pennsylvania or New Jersey or New York or Delaware.
Yep.
Then go buy some. You have it on tap in different markets there, too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you skip over like the whole country and do, say, Contra Costa County, California?
I have been actually. People have asked me to do that for about 2 years.
Okay.
I'm actually working on a way to send beer farther without having to manage it this far out here. So we're going to get somebody to do that for us.
Well, I would like to add my name to the list of people who desire that.
Yes.
We would love to sell it here at the Hop Grenade, and
Yes.
I think people would just go nuts for this beer.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
It's really good stuff.
I think I can make that happen.
Well,
I
keep
do
it
want
up.
to. I do want to thank the listener who hooked us up in the first place, Brian Kolsar. He sent John
Brian.
an email.
Sure. Hey, Brian.
Yeah, he sent John an email, and he made the connection happen. So thanks, Brian.
And Brian was going to come with us, but couldn't make it work.
Ah.
Unfortunately, so I'm out here by myself.
Oh, well, we won't send the jet back again. So
Yeah,
Brian
Jet
missed
A is
out.
expensive, Brian.
Well, yeah, so
I know he's listening.
not only thanks for sharing the beer, but thanks for coming out here and doing the show in person. That's a lot of fun for us, so we appreciate it. Well, I got to take us a break. Hang in there. It's the session. We'll be right back. 888-401-BEER.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Beer tasting games that train your palate, a brewery locator, and the brand new interactive beer style guide. These are just a few of the awesome things you'll find on craftbeer.com. The style guide is a beautiful example of technology in beer. Browse beer style families or turn on the automatic beer style finder and explore beer through color, bitterness, ABV, aroma, and flavor. It's really the coolest way to explore every beer style besides having them all in front of you. Go to craftbeer.com and click on beer styles to start the guide. Plus, enjoy the rest of craftbeer.com, the Brewers Banter blogs, beer education, how to host a beer tasting, and the invaluable draft quality manual. Tons of great content that makes your beer better. Visit the new craftbeer.com right now and explore the website that brings you all the passion, camaraderie, and creativity of the craft beer community. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in anywhere precisely controlled heater for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamel Zanishev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
Segmented, demented, fermented.
It's the session.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the session, live from the Hop Grenade. Having a good time. All right, so we're going to play the new game. It's taking the brew world by storm. It's never been played before. And it's called, Is Justin Really an Idiot? So why don't we meet our contestants here first? I don't even know how this game is going to work. Are we just going to let them... is anybody playing for them? Are we playing with them? What have we done to make this game work, Scott? I'm sure you've thought out every detail.
Yeah. On the plane on the way back from Vegas, that was all that I was thinking about. And I don't know. Why don't we let each caller team up with a Brewcaster?
All right. I need some paper from somebody because I have guests to remember here. But let's go to our first caller. It's going to be Thud Monkey. I believe Thud Monkey has been playing games with us recently. Thud Monkey, what's happening?
Hey, how's it going, Justin?
It's going well.
Hey, Tioga Sequoia guys, you're going to need headsets. Otherwise, you can't hear the callers.
So, Thud Monkey, are you ready to play Is Justin an Idiot?
Yeah.
Would you like to answer now, or do you just want to wait till the game is over?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Let's go to...
My response is yes.
All right, that's not a lot of you. Let's go to Cedar. Cedar's on the line. Cedar, what's happening?
Hey, Cedar.
Hello.
Cedar's already referring to himself in the third person.
Hey,
hey, Cedar says hi.
I picked Nate to represent me.
All right.
Perfect.
No, Nate's not here.
He's not going to be much help tonight.
But listen, you're off to a good start, Cedar.
JP then.
All right.
JP is always
good second choice.
Okay. All right.
All right, and then who else do we have? Scott from Pennsylvania. Scott, what's happening, buddy?
Not much. How you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Turn your radios down, guys, please.
Yeah, everybody's got one.
And then finally, we've got West Vag. I don't make these things up.
It's Johnny from West Virginia.
Oh, there. I forgot the first part.
It's West Vag.
Oh, West Vag.
How am I supposed to know that Vag is Virginia, Suze?
West.
Since when is VAG?
right now, dude.
Virginia.
Can I change my decision to Susie? Can I choose Susie?
Hey, you're blowing the pretense here on the Justin's an Idiot show.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Don't prove it too soon.
I did. Tasty.
Who was the third
Read
caller?
this.
It says VAG.
It says VAG. It says West VAG.
Well, she's totally fucking with you.
You know what? I blame that guy Sal, the Dominator, your old cornholing partner. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Wait, what? Cornholing partner. VAG.
Yeah.
What?
Oh.
You're going to pay more attention to this show.
Oh, that's you saying Johnny is?
No, I said I started calling Virginia Vag just because of that dude.
Susie, sit back down.
What?
Just whatever you. Just go back to doing what you were doing.
Who's on line 3? I didn't even catch that. Are you keeping score? Because I was keeping score.
Scott's on line 3.
No one scored yet.
You're keeping score. I just need to know their names in front of me. Susie confuses me because
it rhymes.
I don't know if she's making sense or not. You see what I mean? Like when other people don't make sense, I go, they're not making sense.
Right.
Susie does. She doesn't make sense in a convincing way.
Yeah. And you start questioning yourself.
Yes,
Am
and I started
getting
thinking like, did I not read West? Does everybody call it West Vag?
Probably right.
I mean, what about cornhole that made West Vag make sense to her?
All right.
I don't know.
So
who's Scott playing with?
Well, I don't think anybody's playing with anybody, actually.
Okay, they were just
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to let them do it, and then they can reach out. We're all going to. You guys are all going to give your opinion, and they can take it or leave it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you ask us.
Yeah, let's do
Some
that.
of us there.
All right.
Yeah.
Why ask me? You have your own structure in mind. Just, you did your thing. Man.
Because you didn't structure this out. You have no idea how this game was going to go.
No, but I came up with something.
Right, yeah.
On the fly?
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
You asked, he answered. Right. Overruled.
Overruled. All right.
He couldn't say it then, but he's saying it right now.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Well, I've had 5 minutes. All right, so the game is, does Justin know anything at all? That's what it's been called this whole time, right? And what we've done is come up with brewing questions. Some of them simple, some of them not so simple. Scott's going to ask the question, and then at that time is when you decide, do I know the answer to the question?
Well, you know.
And we'll go down the line and around the room and let everybody play a little bit. And then we'll play my answer that I recorded earlier before the show. So let's hear our first question, Moscow.
How do you know the hot break has occurred during the boil?
How do you know the hot break has occurred during the boil? Thud Monkey, do I know the answer or not?
No, you don't know the answer.
Do all the callers, you guys all know, all four of you?
Yeah, Thud Monkey,
No.
do you without
No.
giving the answer, do you know the answer, Thud Monkey?
No.
Okay. Wow. Cedar, what do you think?
I don't think Justin knows.
Do you know?
I think I know, but I think I don't know.
Huh.
All right.
Welcome to my brain.
Although he was a little more convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a Susie answer.
Years.
All right, Scott, what do you think? Do I know the answer or not?
Do I have to guess before I hear everybody's opinion?
Yeah, but only because I made the first. For the first round, I'm going to make you all guess, and then I'm still going to ask everyone.
We're going to check your medal.
So go ahead, Scott.
All right, well, I'll go with yup.
All right,
You do know.
Scott thinks I know. Man with a little bit of faith, finally. Jesus.
Yeah, a vote of confidence there.
Thanks, buddy. Johnny, what do you think?
Oh, you absolutely know this.
Johnny thinks I know it. Johnny's got a lot of faith.
Confident man.
JP, do I know the answer to this question?
I think you know the answer, but I think you're going to get the answer wrong.
That's a good answer.
Yeah,
actually.
that's what I said.
Like you know what it is, but you won't be able to answer it in the proper fashion.
Okay.
Like you would know it if you saw it, but you'd call it like a chest freezer or some shit like that. I don't know.
Something completely wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Like when I do a 2-hour interview and then at the end I say a different brewery name.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
I mean, that would never happen, but
that would never happen.
I'd like to thank Sierra Nevada for joining us today.
Right. All right. Good answer. Sardina, what do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
You think I know it?
Yeah.
Now, Mike brewed with me this past weekend, so
he did.
You know, Tasty? Do I know it?
Oh yeah, you'll know it.
Can I answer it?
You'll answer in about 7 words. The answer is about 7 words. It'll take you about 35 or 40.
That also,
we will say
that's also pretty accurate.
He knows.
And Beardy.
The question is, because I watched you struggle with it on Saturday. The question is,
you watched me struggle with hot break?
yeah.
Okay.
The question is whether or not you knew that you were struggling with hot break.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I did struggle with it.
Yeah. We were struggling with hot break?
We actually were struggling. I do believe we were struggling with hot break.
Yeah.
That wasn't one of your 4 things to worry about.
Right.
Yeah.
That wasn't one of my 4.
But I'm just not sure if you knew that you were struggling with hot break. So that's why.
Yeah.
I'll say yes.
This mash smells funny.
Oh, so you say I know it.
I'll say that you did connect 2 and 2.
Okay. I need to establish something before we give my answer. There needs to be a consensus on whether or not I got it right.
I was going to ask Kevin Cox to tell us what that answer is. How do you know the hot break has occurred during the boil?
However, even if we get that, there still needs to be a consensus on whether or not I got it right. Because, like JP said, actually, and Tasty are both saying, I'm going to say things.
It's going to be
The thing is, I say
And
things.
do they equal me knowing the answer?
Yeah.
So how about Tasty, JP, and Beardy, so that it's an odd number? They get to vote whether or not I got it right
We'll
or
be
not.
the judges.
And that way,
Okay.
it should always be, majority will rule.
Got it.
Because otherwise we're going to end up arguing if I got it right or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
With them being the judges, can we still have Kevin tell us
Absolutely.
what it is
Yeah,
first?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin, grab a mic. Tell us what the answer is.
Kevin, so what was the question exactly?
How do you know the hot break has occurred during the boil?
Well, I honestly haven't talked about this to anybody in a very long time. But the way that I would do it is I would pull some of the sample out of the kettle into a Pyrex and put it into a refrigerator. And if it separates clear, then you've done the hot break.
Shit. All right. Let's see what I said. I think it's because a bunch of chunks start floating in the boil, and it usually causes my boilovers.
All right, what did the judges say there?
So, judges, did I accurately describe hot break and how you know when the hot break happens?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's as close as he's going to get.
I was looking for more of exactly what are those chunks is what I was hoping to hear from him. But
proteins.
Well, but the question is, how do you know when it's happened? Not what is it?
Right.
And when the chunks float and boilovers happen.
Right. But I was hoping for when you see the protein coagulating in the wort. That's what I was. That was my ideal question. But yes, I will give you that.
Same thing. Chunks,
Tasty?
proteins.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, if you took that knowledge and went brewing, you'd be fine. You know enough about it to know when it's happened. Yes.
I got
he knew it.
right.
Yeah. All right. Who said? Which caller said he knew it? Someone guessed.
Scotty and West Vag.
Two guys.
Yeah, Scotty and Johnny Badge both said I know it. So that'll be a point for those boys. All right, let's hear the next one.
What's the proper term for green apple type off flavors?
All right, the proper term for green apple off flavors. We'll start with Johnny this time. What do you think? Do I know it?
I think you know it, but you're going to say the wrong one. Like you know the name of the chemical, but you're going to say you're going to say diacetyl, but it's not diacetyl. You know what I'm saying?
Johnny knows me.
So that's a no.
That's a no.
All right, Scott. What do you think?
Sorry, buddy. I'm going to say no too.
Dicks. Cedar, what do you think, buddy?
I think you know acetaldehyde.
All right, Cedar says yes. And Thud Monkey.
I think you know acetaldehyde. I agree with Cedar.
Wow. So that's 2 for idiot, 2 for not an idiot.
So Thud and Cedar think they know the answer also, and think that I know the answer with them. Tasty, what do you think?
Oh, well, I'm a judge, so I'm impartial, of course. But
do I know the answer? I don't care what the answer is yet.
I think you do.
All right. Yeah. Sardina, what do you think?
Yeah, you got it.
Jip?
But I'm only a 60-40 on that, by the way.
No.
Right. It's not like, oh, fuck yeah.
I don't think you do. I think it's too long of a word for you to have mastered the what it is.
By the way, somebody keep a Brewcaster score. I want to know. So, JP, what did you say on the last one?
I said you don't know.
You said no,
did.
right?
Right.
So no point there.
Nobody grabbed a pen when you said someone keep a Brewcaster score.
Right.
Last time I tried to keep score, I got
Mike
yelled
said
at.
yes.
Right.
Tasty?
60-40, yes.
On the last one, what did you say?
No. I said you know both. Yeah, so far, I said you'll know both of those. Yes.
Beardy also said yes.
I said on the last one, you knew it.
You're trailing, JP.
Yeah, that's what I do.
He usually wins.
All right, where were we on this?
Usually comes from behind.
Right, Beardy, do I know this one?
I don't think so. I think you're going to be like Jolly Rancher.
So Beardy says no. What did you say?
You'll
Tasty?
know.
Tasty says I'll know it. Sardina says I'll know it. Jip says
you won't know it.
All right.
Went out there.
Let's find out if I know it.
I believe that is acetaldehyde.
I knew it. Boom.
Is that the correct pronunciation, though?
I think
there's some extra letters in there.
Actually, I think it's... I don't know if it's correct, but it's more correct than acetaldehyde.
Well, it's also more correct than Jolly Rancher.
So
That is true. Yeah.
Kevin, do you know how to properly say acetaldehyde? You don't either. It's a weird. That one's tough.
He hasn't had that flavor in his beer for a long time.
Yeah,
so
that's
he doesn't
right.
know.
He gave up that flavor. Yeah.
When you read that shit,
You know it. Right. So I knew that shit.
You did.
Yeah.
Look at you.
That's 2 in a row, and that means that we have a tie game among our contestants because Thud and Cedar both gave me the win. And let's see. JP, you just said yes?
I said you don't know it.
So that's no point.
Yeah.
Tasty said yes, that's a point. Mike said yes, that's a point. And Beardy said no. All right.
Acetaldehyde.
Yeah, that's not right.
That sounds like acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde.
Like acetaldehyde.
Right. Yeah, I was being deliberate.
There's an L in there.
Yeah, whatever. All right. Next question, please.
What does SRM stand for?
Well, this one seems easy enough. Thud Monkey, what do you think? Do I know what SRM stands for?
Yes, you do.
Cedar?
Senior Radical Math.
Correct.
That's a no, I think.
Do I know it or not, Cedar?
No.
Cedar now thinks the game is, do they know it?
Right.
Does he know it?
It's,
well, that's not a bad rule of thumb.
Justin doesn't know it.
All right. Cedar says no. Thud says yes. Scott, what do you think?
Nope.
And Johnny?
No.
No.
There's only one yes out of these guys. All right, JP, what do you think?
No.
You say no. Okay. Sardina?
I gotta say no on this one.
Boy. Tasty?
I'm piling on here, no.
And Beardy?
Yeah, it's unanimous.
It's a unanimous no. So I've got one yes in my corner.
Oh, really?
From Thud Monkey.
From Thud, yeah.
Thud Monkey
I thought it was unanimous.
Can I please change my answer?
Yeah, Thud, would you like to change your answer?
Well, I don't think you know this.
So Thud's gone back. Now you've gone to no.
You know SRM. You know SRM means lightness and darkness of a beer, but you don't know the actual acronym.
Right.
Yeah.
Some random measurement.
Some sort of tire or something.
So Thud, you've gone to no.
Yes.
Well, once again, I have to ask who does know it. You four on the phone. Do you guys know?
No.
No.
0 for 4. Yes.
This is what makes this a good game.
Yeah.
It still doesn't excuse me from knowing it. It's sort of my job.
That's a tough question, I think.
mean, SRM. You should know that SRM means the lightness and darkness. It doesn't matter about
Fucking blind. I
what
don't need
the actual
SRM.
acronym is.
So
You should know MPH means like how quick is your car going. Like you don't have to know what it actually like stands for. You know.
Well, so now depending on whatever answer I give, the judges may have to interpret the question. Did the question ask for the meaning of the acronym, or
what's this?
Does he know what SRM
It was
means?
very clear. Clear
right?
question.
What does SRM stand for?
There's no ifs, ands, or buts there.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's find out if I knew.
What it means, that would have been something.
Shit. I don't know what it stands for, but I know that it is the measurement of the color of the beer.
Yeah, you guys know Justin very well. He'll know what it means, but not what it stands for.
I don't know. I would have said the same thing, and that's all. That's the best I'd have.
Does anybody in the room know what SRM
No,
stands
I had to
for?
Google that shit.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Beardy, what does it stand for?
Standard reference method.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, well, Beardy went to brewing school.
No, I didn't.
Shit.
So that's a point for everybody on the planet, I think, right? That's what just happened?
Pretty much.
You all shut me out, jerks. All right, what's the next question?
Name 2 noble hops.
Two's not 2.
I'm already stumped on whether or not I answered this right. To be honest with you.
I don't remember this.
Can I get partial credit for one?
New BN game, yeah. Does Justin know if he answered the question from earlier correctly?
Did Justin play the game?
And I'm thinking back about my answer, and I'm wondering if I got it. I think I maybe said one wrong. We'll find out. All right, Johnny, what do you think? Do I know? Can I name 2 noble hops?
Dude, you used to screw at German. You should be able to name 2 noble hops. Come on, man.
You know, technically, I was with her for a long time, but you guys have no idea whether or not I was screwing her.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's true, but we would all be highly disappointed if you hadn't.
You and me both, buddy. All right, so you're giving me a yes, Johnny?
Yes.
All right. Scott.
Countless hours of Brewing Radio have to have paid off. You know this one.
All right. You guys all assume I'm paying attention during the program. Cedar, what do you think?
Saws and...
Can I hang up on Cedar? Can I just say that Cedar's an asshole?
Yeah, you can say that for sure.
Sorry, Cedar, I hung up on you there for a second. Cedar, does Justin know the answer to this question, yes or no?
Oh, fuck.
Holler Tower.
All right, Cedar says yes. And Thud Monkey?
Yes, and I will go as far as to say if you gave Justin 6 hop varieties, he could probably get all 4.
What?
I don't know if that was a compliment or not.
Yeah.
Listen, I am very used to backhanded compliments. I'll take every one.
Yeah, that was one.
That was a compliment. I don't understand.
JP, do I know the answer?
No, I don't think you
do. Mike?
I'll say yeah. Yeah.
Tasty?
Oh, you'll know, yeah, sure.
Beardy?
You'll know.
All right, let's hear.
Well, there are 4, right? Noble hops? It's Hallertau, Tettnang, Spalt, and Saws. We're not missing one, are we?
God, I hope you are.
Okay. Well, here's what Justin had to say.
Hallertau and Perle.
Oh, 1 for 2.
I thought Perle was a 5th. Is that not a noble hop?
There's 4 traditional noble hops.
Can we get a consensus on whether or not Perle is a noble hop?
I don't have enough experience.
Here, why don't I...
Kevin Cox is shaking his head.
That's a simple wiki away.
I'll get on the Bing machine.
Let's Google that shit real quick here. Oh, while you're waiting.
And the reason I'm thinking that it's a noble hop is because I remember Dan Gordon using it, and he's like a Nazi about noble hops.
It is an old German hop.
But maybe not one of the noble varieties.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's Saws.
So, who is that?
Saws is one.
How did I not say that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, I was on the spot. There was a microphone in my face. I was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
All right, they're Googling.
Irrelevant.
It's this characteristic of noble hops. But look, the reference material that I was reading when I came up with the question, there are 4 noble hops. Perle was not one of those 4 noble hops.
I don't think it's a noble.
I'm not arguing. I'm just curious.
I think it's a crossbreed of or derivative of, but it's not one of the traditional ones.
So judges say no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, with that, I have to say no.
All right, so that means all of our contestants did not get a point on that one. I let you guys down. It means that JP is the only one who got a point in the room on that one. It also means I should start banging a German again as soon as possible, I think. I feel like that's what it means.
Did you ask him to name some English hops? He might do better at that.
Maybe now I'll do better at that. All right, how much more torture do I have to take? What's our next question?
What is another term for continuous sparging?
All right. Thud Monkey, what do you think?
Yes, you do. You do know.
Thud says yes. Cedar?
Batch sparging.
Wow.
What a douche.
Can I just also now say I could not hate Cedar more?
You can say that, yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah.
I meant to say fly sparging. Fuck you.
Well, no, he corrected himself. That's all right.
Yeah.
Cedar, would you like to answer the question?
Yeah. Fly sparging.
He just doesn't know what the game is.
That's another question.
I think he answered the question. He's answering Scott's question.
He doesn't answer the right question.
We have to do it every time. Cedar, does Justin know the answer to the question?
Yes.
He's making you work for this game.
Wow. Scott.
I'll go with the dumbos and say yes.
Okay. And Johnny?
I think I'm going to go with no.
All right, Johnny trying to get out ahead of the pack there with a no. JP?
No.
You've said no every time,
Yeah,
right?
you've been a real schmuck to me all
that's
night.
like guessing C.
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to get it, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. What's your strategy again? How many points do you have?
The same as you, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Right.
Mike?
I'll go yeah.
See, Mike's on my side, although he's losing. No, he's doing... Actually, he's in the lead, so he's on my side and doing well. Tasty?
You'll know, sure.
And Beardy?
I think you'll pull it out. Yep.
All right. I will pull it out. And will I know the answer to the question?
Yeah, that'll help. It'll remind you.
Fly sparging.
Oh! Got it. Nailed that one. Psh, do I know brewing?
I thought for sure you wouldn't know it.
Let's see. Mike just got another point. Tasty got another point. Beardy got another point. JP's a douchebag. All right, next question.
What's the score?
Let's see.
For callers, we have everyone has 2 points. No, everyone has 3 points except for West Vag, who has 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to leave that one to you then from now
All
on.
right.
I have 4 points for Mike Sardina, 4 points for Tasty McDole, 2 points for JP, 3 points for Beardy.
All right.
That's what I have for the in studio. What are we going for? How about like last question right now? What do you think?
Well, if there's a bunch of callers at 3, we can do a couple more. See if someone can pull ahead for the win.
Well, how about though if somebody wins right now, we call it a win.
All right.
All right. There we go.
How about not that?
Playing
and something else.
It's a little embarrassing
Sudden
game
death.
for you.
Actually, I'm really liking the game. I just don't want it to drag on so far
Okay.
that it's not fun anymore.
Got it.
Yeah. What's the next question?
What does attenuation mean?
Oh, Jesus. There's no way I know this.
I don't even know right now.
I don't remember my answer, but there's no goddamn way I got it right. Come on, guys. Don't be ridiculous.
No, you don't.
I just want to welcome
It'll
our...
take you 100 words.
I think this is where judge's discretion is going to come in.
We're going to have to make a decision.
Yeah, we're going to have to decide if he knows or not.
all right, let's go with Johnny. What do you think? Do I know what attenuation is?
I think you know what it is, but I don't know if you're going to know how to put it into words.
I agree with you.
So, yes or no?
Yes. So
Yes?
I think that would be a no.
No.
Well, okay.
Scott.
I'm going to go with yep, because you like alcohol in your beer, and you know what it is. Yep.
Okay. I like his philosophy that I would zero in on the things that my body needs.
It's not a bad strategy.
Yeah,
really.
right.
That my brain will fall in line. Cedar, does Justin know the answer to this question?
Shit, I have to go with the last guy. You know how to put it into words because you know that's what you like.
All right, fair enough. Cedar says yes. And Thud Monkey, what do you think?
Yes, you know that yeast eats sugar.
You guys are confident. JP.
I'm just going to stick with no.
Of course you are.
Because either way, I'm going to lose in the inner office pool.
Mike Sardina.
Well, as the person responsible for the fermentation of our homebrew batch, I sure as hell hope so. So yes.
Still has a lot of faith. Tasty?
Oh, yeah, you'll know this.
Kevin, you've just met me tonight. Is there any chance in hell that I know what attenuation is?
Oh,
Kevin says yes.
Wow.
I'm liking the confidence. Beardy.
Yes.
Oh, you guys are all dumb. So even before it gets answered, I do still think I know what it is.
Oh, no.
But I'm not sure I was able to explain it.
Well, the judge's decision is final.
But anyhow, let's
hear this rambling.
See what we got.
Attenuation is how much sugars in solution are fermented out. So basically, your attenuation is how you get down to your final gravity.
Which is a really weird description.
Sounds good to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Unanimous.
Because
JP?
What isn't it but on the yeast side, right? Isn't it like the percentage of sugars that the yeast can consume?
But I think that's what I said
it's
during fermentation.
I
yeah.
wasn't listening. I don't know.
The degree of how much it did that.
you had one job.
No, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Yes! I got attenuation right. This is definitely one I should know.
Do we have a winner?
We have a three-way tie right now.
Oh, no.
With whom?
Thud, Cedar, and Scott. West Vag got it wrong.
Thud.
Again.
Again.
Boo, smelly vag.
All right.
3 in a row, West Veg.
West Veg, I'm going to let you go, brother. Thanks for playing, man.
All right, peace out.
Cheers, dude.
Peace in. That's what I always say.
Of you guys, only JP didn't get a point on that one, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So that means, let's see, Beardy, you're out.
Ha!
What?
How's it feel,
JP is
dummy?
out. It's
Huh?
now down to
Oh,
the
yeah.
two mics. You guys have a tie score. We'll see if we can
All right.
separate it here.
See if we
with,
can break it here.
with another question.
I
what do we
prefer to
got?
call them the two tasties, but I mean,
Yeah.
what do I
They
know?
also prefer to call themselves two tasties.
Right.
If you saw the acronym FWH on a recipe, what would that stand for?
Good question.
That is
Solid question.
Yeah.
These are good questions.
Yeah.
Thud Monkey, what do you think?
They could all be.
No, you do not know.
He's like, no, stop. Do not do this.
Right.
Do not know.
Don't even play the clip.
Cedar.
So wet. How?
Cedar, does Justin know the answer to this question?
Yes.
Wow. And Scott.
No.
All right. JP.
Oh,
you're out.
Oh, yeah, I'm out.
Mike.
I'll say no.
Oh, how did I kill you? Oh, there we go.
I'll say no.
You say no.
Oh, yeah, you'll know.
Tasty thinks I know
Yeah,
this
Mike
one?
let me in. He's setting it up. Yeah, you'll know. You're smart. You know the F stands for something. Once you say that first word, it'll fly right out of your mouth.
Love the confidence.
Just for fun, JP, do you think I know this one?
No, I don't think you
Beardy?
do.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, you do.
All right. Do I know the answer to what is FWP on a recipe?
FWH.
FWH.
Fucking with hops.
I don't know.
Oh, you couldn't even venture a guess.
Oh, wow.
I have no clue. I still don't have a clue.
Good game.
I had no clue.
What the hell does FWH stand for?
First word hopping.
Oh, yeah, that's one I should know. That's why it's a good game right there. I should definitely know that.
So that brings it. You can finally drop your friend Cedar because Thud Monkey and Scott are now tied for first.
I didn't even say goodbye to Cedar. I just dropped him.
All right, so this is the
felt good, didn't
tiebreaker
it?
question. So
Yeah.
whoever answers first, the other person's got to go with the other answer.
And who just won out of you two, Tasty?
Mike won.
Mike. See, thank you for the support, Mike. I appreciate
Don't
it.
ever do that. Don't ever bump fists.
You said you wouldn't know.
Right, yeah, I was going to say he
I
supported
said
you by
knew
doubting.
every time.
Oh, damn it.
I gave you the support.
Thank you, Tasty.
He's a doubter.
Right, yeah.
He is a doubter. Knuckles to you, Tasty. All right, then. We're down to Thud Monkey and Scott for what I hope is a final question.
Yeah, it is. And Michael just informed me that it's a Tioga Sequoia T-shirt that the winner will receive.
Oh, I love it. Excellent. Okay. Next question, please.
What is the ideal pH range for your mash water?
I know.
Great.
Still struggling with the structure of the game.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Definitely no.
Thud Monkey.
Yes, you know, 5.3, you know it.
Thud Monkey, yes. And Scott saying no?
That's it.
That's not a range.
Okay. JP, for fun?
I'm going to say yes.
Whoa.
Wow. Now the competition's off.
'Cause it doesn't matter
I don't
anymore.
value his yes.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
You can push me
Better
around. I don't care.
Take that. Beardy?
I don't think you do.
Okay. What's the question again?
What is the ideal pH range for your mash water?
Tasty?
The what? Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to know because the water is like not the mash; it's the water.
Well, right, yeah. I feel like the answer is not what you're asking for.
It's sort of a
Scott.
trick question. You're going to
Yeah.
answer what the mash should be, but the water is something else.
Well,
the pH of the water actually doesn't matter.
If he gets the okay, well, fine. But if the
doesn't
question is
like-
he going to guess somewhere in the range?
Well, but there's not a specific right answer.
They're saying the question is potentially phrased wrong.
Yeah.
Because why?
Because the
We'll all think
pH
what
of
the
the
mash
mash
pH.
water is one thing, and the pH of the mash is another thing.
They're
In other
two
words,
different.
the mash water is strike water. And did I give you an answer of what my strike water pH should be, or did I give you an answer based on what the strike water combined with the grains should be?
Probably that.
Which would be my mash
That's
pH.
what he meant.
Yeah. Well, I think you can play the answer, and the judges will decide.
Decide what the intent of the
If you
question
give the
is.
answer to the
Well,
then
what
we'll blame
is the
question.
ideal pH range for mash water?
I think that's what. Well,
that's asking what the ideal pH for your hot liquor is, which can totally depend on the beer you're making.
Yeah.
And so that range is huge.
Well, but I think the answer that we gave is for the mash. So that is, I did phrase it incorrectly, but shouldn't the mash for the mash pH, the mash water of the pH of the mash water has to be within a certain range for it to get down to a certain range.
Let me make it easy for you. I answered what the pH of the mash should be.
Fine.
That's right.
So just whatever the question was,
Then I think
you're guessing on whether or not I know what the
Then I
pH
think you'll know.
of the mash should be.
That's what
Yeah.
And what is that range?
Range, you said a number, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, if he guessed within the range, he gets it. But we'll just refer everybody else. What is the range?
Is it time to
5.2 to 5.
Everybody's voted? Oh.
Yeah. Everybody,
5.2 to
the callers
5.4.
are voting.
5.2 to 5.4, something like that.
Right around there.
That's one because it's going to remain tricky then.
Okay.
It is.
I think so.
All right, well, this is for a T-shirt. It matters.
You know what else is tricky? A rock of rhyme that's right on time.
Did we already get there?
Yeah, who guessed yes? Thud, you guess yes?
Yeah, Thud said yes, and Scott said no.
Okay.
Let's go ahead.
For
and see
the
what I
win,
said.
I'm not actually sure of the range, but I think 5.2 is kind of the perfect one.
that's a win for Thud Monkey. That's right there in the range.
He's in the range.
Thud Monkey. Winner.
I agree.
No doubt about it.
I'm not going to argue.
But the question asked for a range. He gave a number.
That's why I said this is going to
range.
continue. I didn't give a range. I just said
The question
I don't
asks
know.
for a range.
And I said I don't know the range.
Right.
Huh.
So then no.
I'm agreeing with you.
All right, what did the
I
judge
said
say?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
What do the judges say?
So the three judges are Tasty, JP, and Beardy. You can interpret the question. That's why I set this up, that there has to be an interpretation.
Yeah.
I'm
The
gonna leave
question
it
was
to you.
a range, and you didn't. You said I don't know the range, but you gave a proper answer that would fall within the range, but you didn't guess the range, so you didn't know it. You're right.
So you're giving a no vote.
Correct.
Tasty?
It did ask for the range, huh?
Yeah.
Well, then you didn't quite answer the question 100%.
Yeah. So you're saying no?
You gave a number that fell in the range.
Yeah, you
both
gave.
of us. I think we should both get T-shirts.
No.
No. The decision
Someone
of the
has to
judges
lose.
is final.
I think they should both get T-shirts, but one should get sunglasses.
So Tasty says no.
Well,
Also,
that, and it was sort of like, first of all, we've already redefined the question.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you'd have answered, like, say, 7.0 to 7.8, for 7.8 for 8.0 for a dark beer that you want to get too low in pH, 7 for most other beers, that'd have been a perfect answer.
Right.
But you're answering another question. So two together, and since you didn't give a range, I'm going to have to.
Maybe we should throw the
I'm going to have to
question
give you a
out.
failing grade, but you scored, but you didn't.
Should we throw the
score well enough?
I don't think so because maybe you guys got the answer wrong, but you asked me a specific question, even if you did it wrong.
That's the question we should throw out.
I got so not only did I get the question wrong, but then I didn't give a range on my interpretation of the. So if I'm voting, if I'm you guys, I didn't get it right.
Yeah,
Beardy, that's 2 anyways.
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So everyone's a no.
Yeah, the askers just didn't know what they were asking.
So that means Scott's our winner tonight. And the first ever is Justin really an idiot.
I tried, Thud Monkey. I did my best to back you up there.
Now, out of curiosity, by the way, Scott, just send an email, bevo@thebrewingnetwork.com, and we'll make sure we get you a shirt from Tioga Sequoia Brewing Company, who's our guest tonight. Thanks, guys, for playing. I appreciate it very much. Now, here's a question I have. Do you have the ratio of what I got right to wrong? Because the game title almost deserves an answer. Is Justin really an idiot? And if I got more wrong than I got right, that's what I'm curious about.
Let's see. You missed SRM. You missed First Wort Hop. You missed Noble Hops. You got Attenuation.
You get 4 out of 5.
You got Hot Break.
Or 6.
And you missed the last one.
You got acetaldehyde.
So I'm tied right now. I'm 3 and 3.
I have 4 and 3.
You missed the range, pH range.
That I have now is 4 and yeah.
You got fly sparging. So you are sort of you're half an idiot.
I'm the same I've always been.
I've always said that.
Skirting by. That's how I.
Now you know what to say when it's you. What kind of idiot are you? I'm a half an idiot.
Yeah, that's what they've always called me, Justin Skirting by Crosley.
Yep.
Just barely making it.
You did great.
Thank you, JP.
It's not the skirt you're wearing?
I would like to say that some of the questions nobody knew the answer to. I just want to put that out there.
I don't know if I could have done any better, actually.
It was very challenging.
I like this game. I think it's a good game. All right, JP. Get us out of here. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you to our show sponsor, More Beer. You can get absolutely everything you need to make great beer at home by going to morebeer.com. If you desire to hear JP drone on about things other than beer, check out his Disney-centric podcast, Ears Up. That's Ears with a Z. Check it out over at earsuppodcast.com. The Bring Back Lunch Meat campaign is in full swing. Head over to Indiegogo and search for Lunch Meat to learn more. Go check out Moscow's Hop Cartoons over at hoplifestore.com. For some good beer insight and homebrew info, follow Nate Smith at Nathan Homebrew and Mike McDowell at Tasty McD. Production director on the session has been Push Eject. Today's show has been produced by Scott Moskowitz. JP was looking up quick flights to Mexico to get away. Bevo was dieting on cheese plates all night. And your host was Justin Crossley. Be sure to find the Brewing Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
JP does great as his cherry.